Hi, guys. Welcome to our coverage of the 2022 FIDE Chess.com Women's Speed Chess Championship. My name is Irina Krush, and I'm joined by my friends from Europe, Fiona Style-Antoni. And today we're bringing to you the match between a top Russian female player and the top one of the top female Chinese players, Tan Zhongyi, versus Polina Shuvalova. These are two very accomplished players rated over 2,500, and I expect it to be a very close match. Fiona, what do you think?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, we had our this very different opinions to our producer Bigfoot, who is expecting a big score by Polina Shuvalova. Of course, both players very strong players in their own right. But let's not forget that Tan Zhongyi, as the stream title indicates, she is a former youth world champion, but not only, she was just a women's world champion. So let's not sleep on what a formidable player she is. And I think what's interesting is she hasn't played much. She hasn't played much over the world because, as we all know, Chinese players have been struggling to leave their country during the pandemic, but also maybe a bit less active online. So I expect a close match. But before we get started with the games, let's have a quick look at the format for today.
Yeah, it is the standard format for the Speed Chess Championships, 3 different time controls. The first one is the longest. It is 5 minutes plus 1 second increment. This goes on for 90 minutes. Then we have a short break and we go to 1 hour of 3+1. And finally, 30 minutes of bullet chess at 1+1. And, we know, Fiona, that even though there's only 30 minutes of bullets, sometimes the match is actually decided there, like a couple of days ago when Humpy Kaneru came back against Nana Dzagnidze by winning the bullet portion convincingly.
Absolutely. I mean, 30 minutes of bullet, a lot can happen there. The point system is a classical point system with 1 point for a win and a half a point for a draw. So all of that is pretty straightforward. And here we see our brackets. So we're looking for a quarterfinalist. This is the second last match of the round of 16. And the winner of today's matchup will be facing Valentina Gonina, who I knew she was a beast at the fast time controls. I've seen her in action plenty of time, but to beat Elizabeth Pitts 25.5, 6.5 was really stunning. So a tough test awaits in the next round for whoever wins today.
Yeah, definitely. And then we'll have one match remaining between Carissa Yip and Hao Yifan. That is definitely something we all look forward to as we see one of the top young American players who's actually starting the U.S. Junior Championships right now. So I'm actually wondering how it's going to be possible for her to fit in this match in the coming weeks, as she is playing another tournament in St. Louis. And Hao Yifan, the top rated female player in the world at the moment. And the winner of that will play the chess queen, Alexandra Kostenyuk.
Yeah, some big names still in the bracket. Plenty of action to look forward to before this tournament concludes in about a couple of weeks. But now we have only 2 minutes to go until the game starts. So let's have a look at some of the insights here. And Irina, what do you make of those insights, which are based on blitz rated games in the last year as of April 10th, so just a few months ago?
Well, what I make is that they're quite close, right? There's very little separating these players. They both play a lot on chess.com. Tan is the older player by 10 years, so it's not completely surprising that she has more games in, right? She just had more time to get those in over the years, but everything else between them in terms of accuracy, wins by flag, losses by flag is very close. Let's talk about the chess stats brought to you by chessgoals.com. Looks like, okay, Shuvalova has an impressively high blitz rating. I see Tan, not really a bullet player. Obviously, she's not really 1,800 in bullet. Maybe there's just like one game there. And she is expected to slightly lose the first portion, lose by a wider margin in the second one, and be blown out in the third. I definitely don't think that, that is accurate. I mean, because all of this is based on chess.com ratings. And if those are just don't correspond to the real strength of the player, you're going to get a prediction like that. So Shuvalova is expected to win this match handily. I definitely think that that's an exaggeration, a big exaggeration. Like, I don't even know a single Chinese player who is not good in blitz chess. This is something I think they practice with. And yeah, Fiona, what are your thoughts about that?
Yeah, I mean, just as we see that the players are off and we see Tan playing a Petrov, we'll get to that in a second. I think the prediction, the match prediction and the win probability are probably heavily skewed by the fact that Tan has such a low bullet rating. I have to say, I expect a close match. Polina Shuvalova, one thing we haven't talked about, at least she has a bit of recent experience in playing this format, as she was part of the I Am Not a GM event. But let's get to the games now, as we have liftoff.
Yeah, I'll just say one thing, like a comment in our chat, Fiona, if she doesn't play bullet, she's still worse. Actually, I think not. I think we can see people really surprise us in that. Like, there's a lot of players who simply don't play bullet. Like, they just don't find this useful. And it's true, perhaps they're not as, I don't know, they're not as good as like a bullet professional. The few of them there are. I mean, there's fairly few of them, especially on the women's side. So, you know, we saw, like, for example, Humpy Koneru win the bullet by a lot, even though you can never think of her as, you know, like amazingly, let's say, fast or a renowned bullet specialist. And she did say to us that she did not practice this at all. You know, I mean, why, you know, that's usually the case. And yeah, I mean, I think that just because someone doesn't play bullet doesn't mean they're not capable of it, especially with a 1 second increment.
Yeah, the 1 second increment makes a big difference for sure. Interesting that Humpy said that she hadn't practiced at all. I was about to say, surely Tan will have gotten in a few bullet games, but we'll get to ask her about that at the end of the match when the players will join us for an interview. So let's have a look at this first game, which starts off in quite solid fashion.
Yeah, we have this, well, let's actually stay on this current position. I mean, this is a well-known solid line from the Scotch 4 Knights. And this is not a line that White usually plays, you know, hoping to get a big advantage. Obviously, White's advantage here is slightly more active pieces, and Black's advantage is the D5 pawn, this center. White doesn't have much in the way of a center here, and that, of course, is a long-term limitation of their position. I suppose, you know, Rook E7 by Tan is looking very, very reasonable here, connecting the rooks on the open file.
Yeah, and well, one thing, maybe a quick word. I know you've played in China yourself. How is it that so many of the Chinese top players play the Petrov? Is this something that they sort of all studied together? Is it a cultural thing? What's going on with that?
Yeah, I mean, good question. They do. I mean, I think the Chinese, they tend to have a solid opening repertoire, right? Which also explains why pretty much all of them play the Nimzo Indian for Black, right? You know, I'm kind of more familiar with that, Fiona, because I was, you know, I'm more of a D4 player than an E4 player. So I've had to kind of deal with, you know, the Nimzos of the Chinese players. And I think, you know, by that, I definitely, you know, I get the impression that even though they're very tactical, of course, in style and calculate well, the selection of the opening repertoire, it's meant to be solid. You know, probably, you know, because it's solidity is good for the long term. You know, it's good for important tournaments. It's good for you know, world championship matches and Olympiads, team events, right? And so there is that that element that, you know, you don't see the Chinese players as much doing openings like the King's Indian, although you'd think that they would be actually good at it.
Yeah, interesting insights. And I mean, the world champion title that Tang Zhongyi won was in this elimination knockout World Cup. So I think a style that's perfectly suited to that here. Well, things are still very solid. First of all, which color would you rather play? You're looking at some active options there.
Yeah. Definitely black. I mean, black, I love how she has set up, the king on G7 to protect the knight on F6. The king looks very safe. And of course, the center and the control of the open file. Oh, she played that move that I was thinking about. I think there's definitely something appealing about trying to play H4. Okay, rook D4. Yes, that is a move. I suppose queen C5, attacking the pawn on C2. Okay, queen E7, very centralizing kind of move, makes a lot of sense. Is she threatening this move yet with the rook there? I would say, I would say possibly. Okay, did she just miss C5, Fiona?
Yeah, C5 and then followed by D4, yeah?
Terrible, because, C5 has been an idea for black for a long time, and now she's just going to get to improve her position even more, getting a protected pass pawn on D4. White's rooks are going to stare into it helplessly. One day we might even see a bishop arriving on the long diagonal. Really surprising blunder by Shuvalova. I mean, it's a positional blunder, not a tactical blunder. And her position is getting pretty bad.
Yeah, and I mean, she didn't give away much, but I thought I saw for a second, just like this, oh no, face of how could I miss that? Interesting that she's wearing a cap, because when she's looking down, there are times we can't see all of her face, which is always interesting as we look for signs of emotion, or did the player miss that? Did she see that? But yeah, things now not looking too good for Polina, as her position just very cramped. H4 is still very much an idea. Tan is also completely controlling the E file, a weakness on B3, as you just highlighted. So not much fun for Polina.
This is one of the worst positions I've seen. Let's say we've seen some bad positions in the speed chess championships, but for White to be in this position, like with absolutely no counterplay, so many positional defects, it's certainly surprising. She will have to play the opening with more bite than this in the future.
Yeah, and Polina, I'm not too familiar with her style, I have to say. I don't know if she is more of an aggressive player usually, or if that's just me being, biased because she's young, and a lot of these young players, very often you see them have a bit more active, a bit more aggressive style, but we'll see. This game, the first game with White, certainly not what she was hoping for.
I mean, the only
tough to find.
The only good thing, perhaps. Okay, that's a pretty decent move. I was thinking maybe Queen C1 to Rook E1. The only good thing is that she's somehow holding on, right? There's no clear entry points for black. I think black's move Rook E6 is pretty clever. I mean, she has ideas of Rook B6, although she could have played Rook B8 if she'd wanted to. She's just kind of like, the Rook is quite nice there because of the knight moves. There's a potential Rook F6. Oh, and by the way, the main idea is Bishop C6. That's right. It was about improving the bishop.
Yeah, so Rook E6, a very nice multifunctional move. We see Polina stepping out of that Bishop C6, so it doesn't come with tempo. Tan goes for it anyway, and I really like the way she's playing this, just slowly improving all her pieces. She is clearly not in a rush here.
Yeah, I mean, the tricky part is like how to break in, right? So you'd feel that the next piece to improve is this knight, and that's really the question. Will there be like a knight D7 to E5? I actually
think it's very reasonable. If you could put that knight anywhere on the board, where would you like it to be?
Well, okay. Oh, Queen C1 is nice. I like that pin. Very nice. And yeah, that queen could even go to C3 at some point. That pawn is a weakness. I mean, White can barely move her pieces. All right, so I suppose, okay, it's a good enough move. Wait, okay, so Queen C6, there's Queen D2. She's still going to be winning material, so the D2 rook is hanging. And on Rook C2, I suppose just Queen D1, threaten the bishop. And I think Tan got that right, that Rook E1 does work.
Yeah, and this looks very close to over now, as Polina is also dropping under a minute, but that probably doesn't matter at this stage. And can we just take now?
I think you can take and just take on d2. That looks pretty convincing to me. Rook takes f1. Bishop takes. Okay, she doesn't even want that. I mean, she's so dominating. She can just like choose amongst winning options. And after bishop takes, I suppose even just rook takes f1. That's another one that she can try. And then she'll go h4, trapping that king and checkmate him on h1.
Yeah, I like bishop e4 seems even more precise, because here it just looks like that king is gonna get mated. It's hard to see that king survive. She decides to recapture.
Just knight f6, and looks like it's over. Okay, she's given up the knight. Okay, h4 right here. So pretty.
There she goes.
Trapping in the king, and the queen cannot take because the rook would hang. And okay, well, now it's pretty straightforward to checkmate.
Yeah, I see Maxim in the chat is saying 11% win chance, by the way, as we discussed before the match. And I think Maxim knows. I think today, those predictions, maybe not the most trustworthy, because they might be hugely based or skewed by the fact that Tang Zhongyi has an 1800 bullet rating. As she takes the lead here, the score is not 18.5 to 6. But it is 1-0 right now to Polina.
Tan playing
Shuvalova.
e4.
10, sorry.
Yeah, I didn't realize that Tan was an e4 player. I guess I've never really played her as black. I've played her more as white. But that actually means it's going to be quite interesting. So wait, Kara Khan played by Shuvalova. I was wondering what these girls' repertoires were in like against e4, because Shuvalova is also an e4 player as white, right? So we saw Tan playing the Petrov as black, and now Shuvalova playing the Kara-Khan. So I guess we will see a lot of these openings. Tan playing the advanced Karo. Shuvalova going for c5 rather than bishop f5. It's this line, where black tries to break apart white center right away. And let's see, bishop d3. So Tan, she doesn't go into like anything where she really tries to like keep this pawn. Yeah, she just gives it up and goes for development.
I'd be very curious, actually. Maybe during our first break, I'll have a look to see if e4 is her main repertoire. Could it be that she's prepared something for this match? One little giveaway was that before the match kicked off, for a second we saw in the background of Tan Zhongyi I always forget his name, but the GM who's the coach, longtime captain and coach of the Chinese women's team.
Peng, is it Peng? Well, no, there's Yu Xiaotang.
I think so, yeah. And he was there with her, so clearly she must be playing from some official facility. And I think even just the fact that we saw him for a second, I think shows how seriously they are taking this match.
Yeah. So she played this in, like, it wasn't so easy for white to protect this pawn. In fact, it's actually impossible. So she goes on the counter attack. By the way, there was a nice little queen trap possible on the board.
Very
black
cute.
would move, that queen away. So of course, Shuvalova plays f6. Now, Shuvalova's center looks very impressive, right? There's definitely a lot of nice pawns. But the issue is like the king's safety, right? So Tan she's opened the game. And okay, king f7. I mean, I feel like it's hard to kind of tell at first glance exactly what's going on, but this move c4 definitely makes it a bit clearer, because I do feel if we get rid of this one pawn, then these remaining two are not as impressive, and then we can focus on getting to them as well, to the e6 pawn.
If black takes on c4 and gets the queens off the board, is that something that black can at least be a little bit relieved about?
Yeah, well, unfortunately, not so much, because this bishop is still terrible, and this knight has so many squares, and the e6 pawn is weak. I mean, black basically has to hope, well, they have to hope they can defend themselves with knight e5, which I mean, maybe that is a really important square and they can try to get rid of our bishop. That's true. But it's an interesting position, like knight, let's say C, right? I don't know which one should go. I guess I will take. And so the question is this one piece enough? Well, the thing is, like, you have such long-term issues, right? With your, I guess, yeah, maybe f4 is not so simple because you'll have knight g4. So what would I be doing here?
And Shuvalova is still thinking. I mean, she's really gone into the tank here after c4 and decides to take.
She decides to take, let me get back. So she took on c4. Oh no, she played, okay, she played rook g8 first, rook c1. Okay, it's interesting that Tan didn't even bother moving her queen. Maybe that's because on this move, is she planning, I don't know, rook c4? Is that?
No, she's already captured with the bishop.
Oh, well, then that's a bit weird, right?
Off.
Because,
yeah.
Okay, I mean, I kind of understand, but all right, I guess like there's less pressure on e6 at this point, but still white's rooks are positioned very nicely. Maybe she thought her rook wouldn't be useful on the e file because of that knight e5 idea. And actually we can see some point here. So what happens if we take and play g3, which is probably what's going to happen. You know, Shuvalova, you know, she's on the defending side again. I mean, it's not as bad for her as I think the other game, but I think it's quite clear that she's on the defensive here. Let's see. Bishop takes c6, knight e2, king f1, knight c1. I guess that works out for black. So maybe she's just gonna, whoa, really? What?
Wow.
What?
I'm shocked. I mean, that line you were knight e2 and knight takes c1, because especially from c1, you're hitting the knight from b3 as well. So I'm not sure what Polina, and clearly she missed something because we see her shake her head a little bit. And this looks like Tan is about to take a 2-0 lead, who's just up in exchange now.
Yeah, that was a really strange blunder by Tan, because I just feel like, you know, if your opponent plays a6, I mean, the intention is so obvious that you're trying to distract the bishop, because, I mean, why? I guess she thought, like, what did she think? That her opponent was like just giving away the pawn? There's not even bishop b7 because of rook c7. Like, it's even hard to know what black's intention would have been. So this is a very strange tactical blunder by Tan, like giving up the exchange. And
by Shuvalova.
Yeah, and now black is just completely in the driver's seat. I mean, she has a bishop for a knight, and there's only one pawn for the exchange. Yeah, this is like not a challenge for black at all. And strange blunder by Tan, because, you know, there's blunders we can understand.
Oh my goodness, Irina, I'm so sorry. I thought that it was the other way around. I thought that's why I corrected you. And then I realized I'm so sorry. For some reason, I thought that Tan was black. Okay, don't mind me.
Yeah,
I know it's a lot earlier for you than it is for me. I don't know what's going on.
Yeah, it's not.
I am confused.
Chat. Twice with black, twice, you know. Yeah, no, Tan has been white, and so now Shuvalova is going to even out the match, even though she was under some pressure in the opening. But, you know, if your opponent's going to blunder like that, sure, it's a big gift. I definitely unexpected, right? Because, like, just blundering that type of basic tactic is very weird. But, you know, we'll see. I mean, I feel like it's hard to make any conclusions yet from just that one thing. And of course, you know, a knight is no match for a rook in a position like this.
I'm curious, is Polina gonna, she runs the king all the way, and now the rook can probably activate, I don't know, via c3, or can we even start pushing? But it's gonna be impossible to coordinate that knight and the king.
Yeah, so the e3, and what are we threatening? I mean, I guess white isn't a bit of a zugzwang, right? Like, what are they actually supposed to do? By the way, you know, it's funny, rook a2, it's so cute, and she played it. Yeah, you know, just queen, you promote the pawn, you're actually going to promote with a checkmate, which is nice. So now would be a good time for Tan to resign.
I think she's looking for the resign button. Like she
Yeah.
was looking at the screen at least, and there is the resignation. So I think, yeah, I think she was just trying to find the button, and we have an equal match. I don't know why I'm not the only one, you know, it's still early. The score is also still early for everyone, but 1-1, we have an equal match, and we have another Petrov turned 4 knights.
Yeah, so Polina enters the same territory that did not work out very well for her. She plays a slightly different move, I think h3, but the idea is all the same. The queen goes to f3 in these lines. Tan showed, you know, a good understanding of these positions in that first game. So I kind of wonder, well, we'll see how this goes, but I wonder how long Polina is going to be fishing in these waters, right? Because that's what we see often in these speed chess championships. If something doesn't work out for you, at some point you have to decide like what, you know, when you're going to switch and what to switch to, right? Like, for example, we saw Harika, you know, play yesterday against Corey. She started with e4 in the first few games, wasn't making much headway against Corey's French defense. And then the moment she switched over to her usual kind of d4, knight f3 sidelines, she started doing a lot better, right? It was just an immediate transformation.
Yeah, and well, the thing is, I don't know Polina's repertoire. I don't know if she has both e4 and d4, or e4 and something else in her toolkit. But we'll see. Also, we'll see how this game works out. What do you think of Black's weakening on the king side? Is that compensated by the bishop here?
Yeah, this is a pretty like typical scenario. What just happened? I mean, it might look strange that Black has those doubled pawns, but of course, the important thing is that they traded the queens off on the square. And for this line, it's super typical. I mean, the problem is that White can never really put their knight here without it getting captured. And then us having bishops of opposite color. Well, okay, I said they can't, but they just did. Well, we know this trade is coming. Whoa, really? She decides not even to take. Okay. I mean, am I surprised that she didn't take? Yeah, kind of. I mean, I understand maybe there's like little threats that White has, but I mean, just doesn't feel very serious. Like, can Black possibly be worse here? So I am slightly surprised that Tan decides to tolerate this intruder. But okay, she has the bishop pair. That's actually all right, because I think, you know, actually she has this kind of plan of c5, c4, right? And the bishop pair has a lot of latent power in these kind of open positions. So just because the knight got here doesn't mean, you know, it's very dangerous in the end game.
Yeah, it doesn't look super dangerous, but it's always going to be annoying. And we see the knight starting to dance around. I'm curious, will she just take on e6? If she takes, do you think with the opposite colored bishops this should just be very equal? Or
and you know, the dance is about to be over, Fiona, for the night. It's midnight, it's time to end this dance. And of course, you know, because if you don't take the bishop now, you're never going to get a chance to take it. And the game already ended in a draw. Wow. And is it surprising? No, but like I said, something not very good is going on for Shuvalova in her White opening, because if that's, you know, she can't even get a game and that's all that she prepared, she needs to switch to something quickly.
I mean, also, if she's an e4 player, surely she has something against the Petrov, because we haven't actually seen any Petrov per se. We always turned into immediately switch to the 4 knights. So we'll see, will she try something against the Petrov? Or will she just move away from e4 completely? Or will she be stubborn? Who knows? We'll find out in the next short while.
Yeah, really interesting. I do like how their games are going when Tan is White, because you know, she's playing e5 advance against Shuvalova's Kara Khan. By the way, notice that this time Shuvalova did not play c5. She did make an adjustment. She went back to the main lines. This is definitely a main line for White against the Caro. Knight d7 is like very rich positions. I've always found these interesting. 8-4 h6 by black. White is kind of, it might seem strange, like both sides pushing their side pawns. White is trying to gain some space on the queen side. Black is actually, for this move has many purposes. One of them is to give the bishop that square. Another one of them is to help the pawn go to g5. And indeed, she makes this aggressive move g5. And you know, even this move by white, it's just so funny how the players are like moving so many pawns at this stage.
Yeah, and g5, I mean, if you're white here, I'm always, I have to admit, when I'm white, I've castled kingside. My opponent hasn't castled kingside and starts throwing the pawns. I always get a little bit worried. Do you think there's any reason for Tan to be worried here?
Yeah, well, not yet. Not yet. Right now, her pawns have not moved at all, so it's very difficult for black to open any lines there. Black's rooks are kind of like nowhere near ready. Okay, the rook on h8 is fine, but she's definitely not going to, win the game without this rook, so she finally takes the plunge and castles. Now, what I don't really like for white is that white has very few possibilities of opening up the queen side where black's king is. And I also don't like that white has already lost their light squared bishop somewhere along the way. I am kind of surprised that she didn't put this knight here. Definitely surprised, because look what happens. She starts with this knight, then this happens, and then she just kind of gives up the bishop. But like, we need this bishop in a pawn structure that consists only of dark square pawns.
Yeah, strange decisions by Tan, and I'm curious how she's going to continue, because as you mentioned, the fact that we don't have any good pawn breaks, I mean, can she try at some point for c4, or will she just leave the pawn structure on the queen side as is?
Yeah, I'm well, I mean, I guess the good part about her position is this knight coming to c5, right? But at the moment, I mean, for sure, black's position looks so much easier. I mean, this bishop just looks kind of awful, and the light squares, and yeah, that was a big mistake, losing the light squared bishop. And I don't think she has much time, Fiona, to open things up because of what's going on the king side, right?
Yeah, so h4.
Yeah, this is a good move though by Tan. Yeah, this is good, because I think over here Shuvalova may have gotten a little overexcited, because right now she's giving white back these squares, and there's a very good chance we're going to see a bishop on f4 soon.
Yeah, and if that bishop lands on f4, it's funny because a second ago you were pointing out how awful that bishop was on e3, while if the bishop lands on f4, it's going to be a monster piece looking down that long black diagonal. And once again, we saw a little sign of frustration by Shuvalova after Tan took on f6.
Yeah, that was not great. Also, am I a little surprised by knight bc5? I guess it's fine. Yeah, because it comes with a tempo. Maybe you can even see double attack. I mean, I was also thinking like you could, if you wanted to, maybe capture on g5, but you know, there's absolutely no reason not to improve the knight with tempo. So she's totally right. And now the other knight will come. And this is actually Shuvalova making a pretty big mistake, you know. It's interesting that she's actually a very fast player, right? But now, you know, sometimes you get the key moments wrong, and then you wind up actually burning up extra time because of your mistake. Right now, she's lower on time than Tan, even though she was up on time just a little bit ago.
Yeah, and I think it's easily explained by the fact that she is playing fast, but then suddenly, I mean, this move h5, which looked so natural at first, but after he takes f6, suddenly it turns out things are not so easy, and then you go into the tank and the time suddenly disappears so fast.
And by the way, I like the way this rook is positioned, because there are going to be lines when it's going to be helpful to defend on the king side. So what is white threatening? Like, imagine we make a passive move for black like that. Okay, I mean, we can take, you're gonna take, I'm gonna take. So in the worst case, I can just go ahead and take that bishop, win a pawn, which actually looks very, very appealing. And though basically, I think there's actually a really good chance, as unattractive as this may be, that we might see this position, Fiona.
Yeah, and I mean, that if this position materializes, that just looks I don't know if completely hopeless for black, if there is some desperado attack on the king side, but not only are you down a pawn, you also have a weak isolated pawn on e6. So certainly not fun, but Polina is still thinking about how to defend the pawn on e6. She captures on f4 first.
Okay, she captures on f4, sure. Now kind of, well, if you take, is there like a queen sacrifice? Probably not, but you know, you got to take a look. She's trying to be tricky, right? Like knight takes, like the queen will move somewhere, and then you pretty much got to play knight takes. I would just play bishop takes, yeah. I would say don't think too long here, just take.
Yeah, I would agree. And then the queen will have to move to somewhere where it defends the pawn on e6, I guess. So queen e7, queen f7.
Yeah, and I mean, I guess the only difference is that black has avoided trading the dark squared bishops, which I mean is not necessarily in their favor because white's bishop is just going to be pretty good on that diagonal.
Interesting that Tan is taking quite a while as well.
Yeah, I don't know what she's thinking about. There you go. Play the natural move. Okay, maybe that was it. Okay. You know what? You just take this anyway, don't you? I mean, oh, she's also sacking this pawn, but I don't think that's not a very appetizing pawn. Because you're just basically taking black's backwards pawn and opening their rook. So I don't think she'll be doing that. No, she's got to take on e4, yeah.
Of course, Shuvalova recaptures with, well, not of course, but now after rook e1, it looks like there will be no way to defend the pawn on e4.
I keep showing Fiona, you know, how beautiful that rook is on a2, how handy it is going to come for white, you know, how one little detail, you know, rook on a1 versus rook on a2. It's like when, because this move is coming, right? We know she's going to play h4 sometime soon. And it's just so nice to like have that connection of your rook to your king side.
Yeah, and I love the way that Tan has done this. Polina, she's gonna try. Did she play? No, okay, she goes for rook e8, and I guess she's going to keep the queens on the board, and of course she will try to push h4 and open up the white king as much as possible, but Tan should be able to keep things under control here.
And yeah, I mean, she has a beautifully centralized queen. That's a big plus. She has a very nice bishop. I mean, it's not the most losing position ever, of course, because yeah, like you have an extra pawn, but your king is fairly weak. You know, there's some open lines against it. Interesting that, you know, I think she's trying to take with her bishop and then maybe go queen f4 and queen b8 checkmate.
I like the way you think. I mean, at this point, we've done a bit of commentary together, and I love the way, you know, there's only one way. That way is forward, looking at the opponent's king.
This is a, you know, nice. I mean, most beginners are always very excited at, you know, setting up batteries of the queen and bishop. Yeah. Jebel says, I love hearing Hammer pronounce Shuvalova. I wonder how he does it. I mean, I'm sure it sounds very good.
Yeah, I haven't heard it.
Yeah.
Speaking of Shuvalova, under 10 seconds as she's trying to figure out, I mean, this is going to be, I think with
queen
that
f4, queen f4, simple move
to
that wins. Yeah, bishop c7, trade down, everything there, win another pawn, make it technical. Okay, rook e5, that's not going to save Polina. No time, queen e5, 2 extra pawns. It's going to be a technical job for Tan. Check. Okay, now she needs to be a little bit careful. Yeah, that's a good move. That's a very nice move. h4 maybe, rook g3. Okay, king g2. Sure, very good technique. Rook is protecting everything. Everything is guarded. Oh wait, did I say good technique? Well, now she can't move that king. Oh, good. We're king g3. Now it's good. Now it looks good, and those pawns are running. And just h5 and king g4, rook h3, and that's it. King g4. Rook was perfect. Tan positioned her rook wonderfully on the 3rd rank, and good technique. It did not seem difficult for her to convert.
Very nice technique indeed, as Tan Yongyi takes a 2.5, 1.5 lead, and we'll see. There it is, Irina. You called it. 1d4 is on the board.
Yeah, I did not know that this was part of Shuvalova's repertoire. I do know her more as a e4 player, but okay, she's not going for mainline d4s, and I feel like anyone can play the London, right? I mean, any 2,500 player can like bring out their pieces, to f4 and but this is a little bit of a different kind of London. Okay, so seems like white could be more comfortable here if things work out in the next couple of moves. But so Shuvalova, I don't know about that move actually, because black is going to take and play c5, right? And this is starting to look very much like a Nimzo Indian, which Tan is very familiar with, and Shuvalova less so with white. And the only difference, Fiona, is the bishop's on f5 instead of being on c8 where he normally would be.
Which surely that's gonna work in black's favor, right?
Yeah, black can even take the pawn and play like, oh, sorry, queen c7. Yeah, great, Irina. Nice move. You know what I forgot, Fiona, is that normally white's bishop is also on c1. So, black normally does have that square for the queen. But again, actually, this is what makes this position different from a regular Nimzo. Although she did take the pawn, but she will not be going queen c7. She actually might go queen c8.
So why would she go queen c8, let's say, rather than queen a5, for example?
Yeah, actually, good point. So why would she not just on this move go queen a5? Well, I have to say queen a5. Okay, you know what? Well, there's a little difference. I think you're right that she could. I mean, my thought was that white could just castle here, right? And maybe on this move we play like rook c1. We're definitely getting a lot of pieces together. I mean, I don't know how large is white's compensation, but they do have two bishops and black's not completely developed, so like that white can try to play for some compensation like that. And the idea of queen c8 was that it's a very typical idea, because I can't really castle, right? Because then this is more than just you winning the c3 pawn with your queen. This is like you winning it with your pawn, right? Discovery, and I can't save everything, and I'm not playing this move, so this is bad for white. And if you move your bishop somewhere, the issue is that this could be a problem with pawn takes and the queen coming down to c3, and these are all very typical ideas for the Nimzo that Tan is actually quite I think happy here, because she's on turf that is familiar to her, and Shuvalova well, she's just kind of playing it by ear, yeah?
Yeah, and well, now we have this very weird looking pawn structure going on the c file, with white having pawns on c3 and c5, black having a pawn sandwiched in between on c4. I guess eventually the c5 and c4 pawns will drop off the board, but surely Shuvalova, Tan has to be happy with what she's gotten here once again as black.
Yeah. So now she has lots of choices, right? Of course, knight c6 is very tempting. White will take knight c3 there. I mean, that looks good. Sure. I mean, you can also play knight c3 right away. Actually, looks pretty good. Bishop c4. I mean, then knight c6, then rook d8. Yeah, I mean, she has so many choices here that I guess that's the challenge. But the challenge is not that black has a bad position. It's more like which of these tempting moves to play.
Yeah, and I think she's doing the right thing to take some time here, because she has over 3 minutes on the clock. And it feels like kind of a crucial position to decide which path you're going to go down. Which move do you think she will play?
Which move will she play? I think she'll play knight takes c3. Because, taking the pawn is it's very tempting. And then you're like attacking the bishop right away. I'm not really sure how white plans to defend it, right? Like, I mean, taking with the queen here is just so like such a lame move, right? But like if you go there, I feel like black has so many choices. I mean, this queen is like nearly trapped, right? Like rook, even rook d8, like you're literally going there into another tempo, then you're going there. Then there's also knight c6 here. But okay, she didn't go for any of this. She actually went for a move that I wasn't expecting as much. Knight takes bishop. Okay. Doesn't mean it's a bad move because, like I said, black, like pretty much any move here by black would have been fine. So she takes the bishop and she goes rook c8. And she wants to win the pawn back, but she probably can't, right? Because there's going to be,
But can I not go queen f8 there?
Yeah, I'm going to trade first and then mate. Yeah. So.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, that's the issue. So you can't really take the pawn. Okay. So Shuvalova, I mean, I think she's probably quite happy at this, even if this is nothing special. It's like, at least it looks okay for her. Yeah, and I kind of feel like there could be some initiative here for white. I mean, I like the centralization. I like the fact that this knight is going to come to e5 with a tempo. And I like the fact that this knight is still on the side of the board.
Yeah, I don't know if it was the fact that Tan didn't take on c3, but somehow in just the space of a few moves, Polina's position seems to have improved quite a bit. Yeah. How do we continue though? What's white's plan? Do we just take on c4? Do we activate the knight? What do we do?
Yeah, queen c4 looks pretty good. Then you're gonna have to play knight c5, and then I go knight e5. I would say that looks quite nice because your queen is totally tied down to that knight, right? So yeah, that's what she did. She played queen c4, knight c5, and then queen b4. Okay, interesting. Like I was suggesting this move, okay, but queen b4 is a very interesting move. And the idea is you're trying to improve your pawn structure. Now, the only question is if black would take. We have very tempting ways to take. I'm not even sure which way white would take because it kind of looks like they improve their pawns either way. I suppose the pawn A, in order to open up the A file. But Tan, she wants to only make the queen trade on b6.
Which makes sense, right?
Oh, it makes a lot of sense. Now knight e5 and knight e4. So, all right, Tan is she's still keeping it even. And at some point she might want to take on, well, first of all, she's threatening queen f2. It's a big threat.
True, we need to do something about that. I'm also curious about, because so far, I mean, we're almost halfway into this first, what happened there?
No,
I just saw the bar. Oh my goodness, she just blundered f2.
Oh, she blundered f2.
Oh my
Shuvalova. I mean, well, that was a little bit sneaky. You saw I blundered in the first second too, Fiona. I was like, oh, it's maybe the knight coming here after the trade of queens. But then I was like, well, let's just, notice this threat. And she totally blundered it. Wow. Oh, that's painful. I mean, whoa, what? So this was a bad move, taking the bishop. It kind of looks like a good move but now queen f7 and rook d7, I guess, or
yeah. And do we just have to go for perpetual?
Yeah, how does she stop this checkmate? I mean, if she goes rook g8, there are gonna be ideas of smothered mate.
Wow.
So Tan just kind of gave her opponent a chance. Now, what should she have done rather than take the bishop? That's an important question. Now, maybe she should have simply, I don't know. How would she protect this? Maybe bishop g6, maybe defended the pawn, actually, Fiona. Made the knight take the bishop, kind of defended the king side first and then gone on her attack, right?
Yeah, and now while we see her in the live position bailing out with that draw knight h3, giving up the knight, but if white takes, it's just going to lead to a perpetual check.
It actually looks a little dangerous. Wait, I don't think you can take it. I think the perpetual is king h1, because if white takes it, I think white's getting mated by the queen and the bishop combo.
Oh, that's very sneaky. Yeah.
Yeah, look at that checkmate.
Very nice.
So she needs to.
But then what is Polina thinking about? Okay, no, she's
Yeah,
going for the repetition, and the
just
draw
making
will be
sure.
agreed.
Okay, I mean, exciting game, nice. Big blunder by Shuvalova, but you know, Tan kind of. I wouldn't call it necessarily a blunder because her move was very natural, but she got a little unlucky.
Yeah.
That White's play was so large, down a piece.
And Bob in the chat is saying rare reaction by Tan there. I actually missed it for once. I looked
Me
away.
too.
What did she show emotions? Because in general, she's very poker faced, very focused.
Yeah.
So tell us, Bob, what did we miss?
All right. So Tan, we are back in the Caro-Kann.
Yeah.
Yeah, we still got Tan up by 1. Shuvalova, I mean, this is her main opening against e4, and I think she will, of course, be sticking to it. It's a lot harder to switch your openings against as black than it is to switch your openings as white. Mm-hmm. And she's back to this line, though, which she tried in the first game of the match. So they have the exact, whoa.
That's a mouse slip, no?
That's a mouse slip. Sure, it is. Oh,
and
we can see her and she starts to laugh. Goodness. Oh no.
That's an unfortunate one because the king is really, really not well placed on d7.
Yeah, she must have, I don't know what she meant to play. Maybe she meant to touch her knight or put her bishop on d7.
Maybe bishop d7.
But her move was king d7. Ugh, I know that feels really bad to make mouse slips in Speed Chess Championship, because especially when you're trailing by 1 and clearly your opponent is not giving you an easy time, and then you mouse slip with king d7. I mean, that's tough. That's a tough break for Polina. I feel very bad for her about that. And it also means that we're kind of like spoiling the game for ourselves.
Yeah. Not only losing the right to castle, as Stranger Danger in the chat is pointing out, but also losing 2 tempi to just come back to e8 because the king could not stay on d7 where the white queen was looking down. So let's see if she can. I don't think there was any tilt. Like, this was literally just a mouse slip. Yeah. But Polina, she's a fighting player. I mean, the last game we saw her blunder the pawn on f2. That must have come as a shock as well. But she, kept it together, created some threats, and was rewarded with half a point. Yeah,
I mean, the problem is if Black could just castle here, their position wouldn't be as bad, right? But the fact that they can, like, it looks like they can castle, but they can't, that's the problem. I mean, if you're tuning in, right, and you haven't seen what happened before, you might just be shocked here. Like, why is Black not castling? But, they can't be castling, and it's really hard to just to play without king safety, without connected rooks. I mean, it's tough. It's tough here for her. I mean, what is White threatening? I suppose like bishop b5, maybe putting more pressure on the pin is an idea. Queen c2 at some point, maybe later on. Yeah, it also feels just kind of disgusting, doesn't it? Now she tries to stop that.
The problem is also for Polina that it's very difficult to castle by hand. There's no square that the king can get to. It's not like we have g6 or a square where the king can hide. So yeah, just looking very,
I think f5 tough. Is also like in a nice little square for the knight. But I mean, she's clearly focusing on the c6 knight.
Also, just want to get back to Lania Kea in the chat, who's saying Tan would offer a draw if she had any sense of ethics. I completely disagree with that. I think, mouse slips are just a part of online chess. And especially, I mean, she's white. It's not a position in which she would ever agree a draw. So why would she have to give up, on that white game? And so yeah, just disagree completely.
Absolutely. Well, yeah, absolutely. Because I mean, especially that point that she's white. I mean, you can't just give up your white color because your opponent makes a mistake. That's not your responsibility. And I'm actually all for gentleman behavior in chess, Fiona. But I actually think that is kind of beyond gentleman behavior, and you're actually harming your own interests for no reason. So, Yeah, I mean, mouse slips are part of blitz chess. I mean, I suppose if you're just playing, Fiona, if you're just playing a casual game online and this happens, actually,
Yeah,
of course, give them out a take back, right? The
yeah.
problem is this is in a context of a timed match where, even the clock of the match is a factor, right?
Hmm.
And you're not going to be able to just restart the game with the same color necessarily.
I mean,
Yeah.
also, just to start with, that there are just no takebacks on chess.com, so there's no. And I think a lot of players like Magnus in this online too. I think a couple of times Magnus, at least once, he just mouse slipped his queen, lost his queen in one move, and he just literally resigned immediately to not leave any awkward space of what should I do, because I think the players understand this is just the way online chess is, and sometimes it will work against you, sometimes it will work in your favor.
Yeah.
So I think there are some situations in which you can. I think what Magnus did against Ding Liren when he lost his internet connection was very nice, but I think this is just a different situation here that we saw.
Well, what will she do right now? Is she going to take her opponent's queen with rook e7? I guess that's her plan. Tan, rook e7 right here. Am I wrong? Is she going to surprise us and go like rook c6? Nope.
Yeah, she goes for the queen. She's probably just going to take on c6.
And actually,
next.
you know that she's actually going to take the bishop.
Oh, of course. Yeah.
Yeah, even better.
Yeah, and that's gonna be the end of the match. Polina is thinking. I'm not sure what she could try here. I think we might just see a resignation, and that's gonna be a 2-point lead for Tan with just under 40 minutes to go in this 5+1 portion.
So Fiona, the candidates just finished, right? And you were doing a lot of commentary on Hikaru's channel. What were like the most standout points to you? Like what happened in the second half of the tourney that that is memorable for you?
I think like one thing that I'll never forget is, well, first of all, Jan's dominance goes, I think, without saying. He just dominated the tournament from start to finish. I was impressed with how he kept his nerve, how he was always in control. But there was some serious, I think there were two stories, that of collapse in the second half and that of comebacks in the second half. And I was very impressed with Ding Liren, very impressed with Rajabov. I think Alireza's tilt is probably something I will not forget, with that hyper bullet session thrown in there, followed by the G4 H4 the next day against Nippo. And I think Fabiano's collapse, I mean, I don't think I've ever seen Fabiano collapse in such a way, but I think, again, it was brought on by the fact, that he was trying so hard to catch Jan. But what stood out to you?
Yeah, well, what stood out to me? Yeah, I mean, of course, I think Naka had a very good tournament overall, right? And I think he could be quite happy. I mean, except, for that last round, which was kind of disappointing. I think second place for him would have been like a very deserving place to finish on. Definitely, looking back, I think that key game was that game that he didn't win against Nepo that we commentated on that day, Fiona. It turned out to be extremely key for the the dynamics of the tournament, and probably was going to be very hard for Nepo to be stopped after that,
Yeah, and I mean, I have to say, I just think I agree with what you said. I think the last round was heartbreaking for Hikaru, for his many fans. But yeah, of course, Jan, I think, is the one player in the tournament that you cannot, nobody can debate where he should have finished. I mean, to go through 14 rounds without a single loss. He didn't even come very close. I mean, yes, he was much worse against Hikaru in that game, and maybe the first or the second game against Fabi, where Fabi repeated moves in the end. But other than that, he was just in control. He seemed collected. He seemed in a good place in all his interviews. So yeah, just impressive stuff. And now we wait. And we
And
wait
so
to find
I'm
out.
curious, in the beginning of the tournament, Hikaru had, some words about the organization. He wasn't happy about some of the things. Did he ever return to those topics in your interviews, Fiona, anything, or it just kind
No, no, not really. And I think in the end, like from what I've seen, and by the way, as we were speaking, Tan Zhongyi won the game. She now has a 2-point lead. From what I saw towards the end, the players all seemed very complimentary of the organization and how everything was run. Overall, it seemed like a nicely organized tournament. So
yeah, it's
didn't
certainly
hear
in a
anything.
beautiful venue, right?
Yeah,
So many beautiful pictures from that palace looking place where they were playing.
absolutely.
And so, okay, so Shuvalova makes her first adjustment. Sorry, guys, we didn't talk about that game, but she was losing for a long time. And then she finally lost after the mouse slip early on with King D7. Now, Tan just continues doing what's been working for her with Black, the Petrov, and now Shuvalova changes from this Knight C3, D4 to more of a mainline approach to the Petrov. Although she doesn't play pawn D4 or even pawn C4, she goes bishop D3. It's a line, right? We don't see it quite as much, but okay.
Funnily enough, it's the line that I've always played against the Petrov. I think I learned it 20 years ago because it was played, I believe, by Morozevich. I was a big fan of his. So that's how I came to play this slightly rare bishop D3 line.
Yeah, so let's see what we got here. Okay, in these Petrovs, the first impression is always that it's very boring because there's just one open file, there's no imbalance in the pawn structure, but it can definitely get more interesting. I mean, I suppose the problem is on knight f5, you even have to deal with bishop f3 because you have a back rank issue, right? You can't take back with your queen, and you definitely don't really want to double your pawns, I would think. I wouldn't say it's out of the question, Fiona. Like, I don't think it's impossible that white could go there and then just take with a G pawn.
Yeah, but it doesn't look.
Yeah, I mean,
can we get away with taking on D6 in between? Does that do anything?
No, if you take on D6,
no,
unfortunately you can't. Yeah, because I'm taking more stuff, and in the end, I even have that as a threat. So let's see what she came up with. So we have knight f5 on the board. She played it. I think we're going to see this, Fiona, because I mean, Black is going to be taking this knight.
Interesting. Did not expect she was going to go for this.
The problem is she didn't really have a great way to open up this bishop, right? She's in a pin. She can't go G4, obviously. This bishop's not moving. So, so she kind of goes for this move, and she does go for those doubled pawns. And I'm not completely surprised because I think it's playable.
By the way, sorry, just because of the player cameras, I mean, Paulina is actually white here, right? I've been so scarred.
She is white. She is white in this
so I think we just need to flip the players around.
Yeah, it would help, right? It would help to know.
Maybe I can blame my earlier lapse on our producer as well, somehow. I'm sure it was his fault. Okay, so we flipped the players around. Paulina, of course, who's trailing by 2 points, is playing white here in this Petrov. And
the way you recognize them, Fiona, is by their openings, right? You don't have to see them on the screen. You just kind of look, oh, it's a Petrov, so tan and black. Yeah, but it's interesting. I think what Shuvalova went for, right? She got the bishop pair. She has a pretty active knight. She had to pay for it with this damage to her pawn structure, but I think it's let's say a reasonable decision. This is not the most shocking thing I've ever seen, especially for a blitz game. King H1. Yeah, I mean, I just feel like, okay, rook G1. Of course, Black is very solid. They're going to go King H8 and probably eventually push this knight out. Perhaps Black will just be better. But again, I wasn't so surprised.
After King H8, can I go Knight H6 and try and jump to G4? And I'm not sure where I'm headed.
It's tough. I mean, I have to say, even though I kind of was okay with this approach, there are some issues, and this king is definitely going there, and you're going to have some trouble with the knight, and then this bishop will come out, and then this square will be weak. Yeah, it's not easy for Shuvalova to develop something here.
Yeah, and I wonder if, this decision to allow this pawn structure to materialize, for me, it feels like a decision that should be taken maybe later in the match. It feels like she's already kind of going all out in a way, but it's only a 2-point deficit. Probably the shorter the time control gets, that should favor her in theory. But yeah, do you think it was just an objective decision to allow this?
Yeah, I think it was not like she was trying to be super aggressive. I just feel like at this point she didn't really know what to do. And honestly, it's not that easy. Like if you can't move your knight and you can't move the other knight and then you can't move your queen. I mean, what was she supposed to do? Like bishop, bishop D2, queen E2? Well, maybe. Yeah, maybe she could have just crawled out of there. But
But it feels like it's not her style, right? To crawl and suffer for.
Yeah, I mean, no, I thought like what she did kind of made sense, but unfortunately, Black's position is super solid, and Tan, she just plays good quality moves. I can tell you about that. That's what I'm seeing by Tan. It is not so simple to beat her just to outplay her positionally. I mean, that hasn't really happened so far. The only time that Shuvalova won, right, it was a blunder by Tan that was kind of unexpected for me. So I do feel like so far what I'm seeing is that Tan is playing better.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for Polina, I was even wondering that previous game where she played on for a while, Queen Down, where we were discussing candidates. I wonder if in a way she was running down the clock just by still playing, but if she wants to get closer, I wonder if in a different situation she might have just resigned, but here she feels, okay, let me get to 3+1 with as little clock time in this 5+1 segment as possible.
Yeah, I wonder what she's thinking about here, Fiona. Like, I mean, I guess there is something to think about, right? Like, because White is trading off this doubles pawn, and then there's always like sacrifices in the air.
Yeah.
But I think right now, I mean, just Queen D7 probably.
I like Queen D7 because, like the rook in the previous game, we keep an eye on that 7th rank, making sure that if there is a sacrifice on G6, we can always block a check with Queen G7. And as you just pointed out, the queen is also eyeing up a forward square on H4.
Okay, so this makes sense. Now, what to do for White? Where is the play going to come from? If you go there, she's going to go in and I think start trading the queens. Okay. Oh, Queen H4. She has that idea. And I think there's a good chance she's going to do it. What else can she do? That's a very tempting move. Yeah. Ooh, there's something winning here. Is rook E3 winning? Beautiful. Rook E3 and knight G3 with a beautiful checkmate. Oh, man. She's going to find it. She's going to find it. I just can't imagine that you wouldn't when you got so many beautiful attacking pieces. It's such a beautiful idea, guys. Rook takes E3. You can't take it because of knight to G3, and then you got to give up your queen with a losing position.
And it's on the board, very nicely done.
Oh, not yet, not yet.
Oh, no, it isn't. Sorry, no.
Yeah, Queen G2, Tan is still thinking. She's got under a minute to find this. I really hope she does. I'd be super disappointed in her if she doesn't.
I mean, the longer she thinks, the less likely I think it's to be played.
Yeah, I mean, I guess she's maybe thinking about like pawn takes, like White will just start giving up pieces randomly. Yeah. But I mean, she's still got a sack. I mean, she's got to feel that this is the moment. Just got to do it.
She shouldn't spend too much longer on her decision because she is down to 20 seconds.
Yeah, and so Shuvalova has seen this. She prepared this move instantly. Bishop takes, and now, of course, you just got to take it. Like you just... But the question is, oh, rook G3. Rook G3 is coming.
Oh, my goodness.
Look at that. That idea repeats. That is what Black has coming on Bishop G6. And of course, the more she thinks here, the more she gives Tan a chance to prepare that move.
I mean, that's some serious tactics. Is she going to go rook G3? 13 seconds?
Yeah, I think she will.
There she
There you
goes, rook
go.
g3. Wow,
Yeah,
that's
nice
some
stuff by
impressive.
Tan. Beautiful,
Yeah,
beautiful tactics. Well, like I said, her missing that tactic early in the match, it was a big surprise to me because that's just not, what Chinese players are known for, right? They're just sharp
yeah.
tactically. Um and yeah, I mean, Tan, it's you can see in this match that she won the Women's World Championship for a reason.
Mm.
She is like, it's so far I think it's actually been hard to see her weakness. Like where is the weakness? Like has Shuvalova found it yet? I don't think so.
No, I don't think so. And I think we can safely also put the predictions, the pre-match predictions to rest of this is at least certainly not going to be a blowout by Shuvalova.
Yeah, I don't see where it would come from as of yet. um Okay, but she's got 3 seconds. She actually needs to like not mess this up. She doesn't have a lot of time. I guess she's completely winning, but okay, queen trade. Yeah, just trade king e7. Okay. At least it's technical for black. So, it might take a
Yeah,
while to win, but like at least it's not difficult to make moves
I
quickly.
think a big relief that she managed to get the queens off. You never want to play on just 2-3 seconds with a queen and another minor piece
Yeah.
sort of swarming around your king. And here it should be easy to at least build up the clock a little bit as the
Yeah,
players
king
gain one
d3. I
second
don't
per
know what
move.
she's thinking about b3, but like, yeah, she's built up her clock. I mean, she's done that part well, but there are technical challenges, right? Okay,
Mm.
now that she's won a pawn, that's pretty cool. Oh, yeah, the trade of bishop for knight is not going to help white, I think. Yeah, I mean, it should be a matter of time.
Still, as you say, still a little bit of work to be done. But
Mhm.
I had both players down to 2 seconds now,
Yeah.
actually. So both just playing on increment. I think Tan is gonna have to bring her king around eventually.
Yeah, king f5. Maybe she should just go king f5. Just go king f5, give up the pawn,
Where
and
is
then
she
go.
going to?
Okay, that's fine. She's putting her in zugzwang. Ooh,
Mm.
king b5,
Oh, whoa, whoa, whoa,
d6, or
whoa.
wait. What's going on here? b4 maybe? Oh, she should have played maybe b4, traded the pawns. Bishop
But can we
d6.
not?
Why
Why
don't?
not bishop f2 and get behind that pawn?
Yeah, I don't know what's
Okay,
going
I
on
think
there,
the
but they
players
have
are
very little
panicking
time.
now.
Yeah, I mean, of course, they're not able to think at all. What can can't really blame them. And I honestly don't know what's going on because it's going too fast. Too fast.
It feels like at some point they might accidentally stumble into a threefold position repetition.
Yeah. It's very
But now
unpleasant when.
she's gotten her bishop behind, so can she use her king? But now white is in Zugzwang, maybe, no? No, she. Yeah. Oh my goodness. And now it's just.
Oh, it's a draw. It's a draw. All right. Nice save by Polina. Wow.
Wow.
Beautiful game by Tan, but Polina with the save, really important for her. I mean,
That was
could have been a big
crazy.
lead. That could have been a big lead. This is at least kind of acceptable, right? 2 points.
Yeah.
And Tan is white. That was very stressful, I think, for the players, that end game.
For sure. And we saw this time, I think we both saw it, some very visible disappointment by Tan Zhongyi. But it's also the first time that we saw a time scramble, which I think as we get to the 3+1 and 1+1, we'll see more of that. And I think what we saw in this first time scramble was some serious nerves on both sides.
And Shuvalova switches from the Caracan actually to the Rai Lopez.
Mm-hmm.
And we have an anti-Marshall here with the move a4 by Tan. Let's see if Shuvalova is as comfortable in these positions as she is in the Caracan. I mean, I guess the Caracan was her first choice for a reason. But yeah, this is a totally different type of position, and it's kind of cool that we're getting different openings in this match. Very different openings, right? Like we got Shuvalova going from e4 to d4. Now she goes from Caracan to Rai Lopez, right?
But she's been the only player who's had to mix it up. Tan Zhongji, she has stuck to her openings, and rightly so, because things have been working out for her. So the onus, of course, is on the other player to mix it up, and that's what we see Polina do. As we have 20 minutes remaining on the clock time here, so it could be that this is our second last game already in this time control. The white knight has just jumped to h4, looking to maybe get to f5, or what are the plans?
Yeah, I mean, she definitely had this queen f3 idea, followed by bishop h6, but black is breaking in the center just in time. She doesn't have time for queen f3 because d takes e4 and the bishop on d2 hangs. So she took. Okay. Yeah, I think she would kind of force to take, not really wanting to take. Now the question is, well, if pawn takes, then the knight goes there, and then you're going to play knight f5, right? Queen takes, she's going to take with the queen, centralizing the queen, not letting the knight in. Yep. Now this is looking pretty good for black, because this white queen has nowhere to come out to, and this queen in the center is just beautiful.
Yeah, I mean, what do you do as white here? Do you just play queen e2 and try and use the e file? Do you just bring the knight back to f3?
I think you go queen f3 and play for a draw. Like, you trade the queens, maybe try to go like rook e2, rook e1, maybe attack this pawn. And I think you should be, that doesn't look that terrible. I mean, the problem is, the reason I'm kind of like, well, first of all, I'm missing maybe e4, right? So there is a 1 point here that we actually have to calculate such a move, just in case, which I didn't really take into account. But what I was trying to do was like challenge their queen, bring back my knight, and then kind of play against this pawn, right? That I thought was reasonable. So if we could actually get that, I would go for it. But there were some tactical issues along the way. So she played b3. Bishop e3, right? She's definitely aware that that bishop was a target here.
Yeah.
Shuvalova, aggressive move, g5, nice. Knight f3 and knight g6. Okay, I mean, I have to say, I like what Shuvalova is doing. It makes sense to me. But, Tan is doing all right too. Although queen a8 is a rather surprising move by Shuvalova. Interesting though. She is trying to let the knight go there, possibly into c3, possibly pawn f5, or knight f4. And here goes Tan with that queen trade offer. And now, e4 is not a danger. So, right, this actually looks okay for white. And I would also say here, Fiona, that the fact that these pawns are fixed on dark squares, the fact that the bishop could reach them one day, or like a knight could reach them, makes me a little bit concerned for black's position.
Yeah, I agree. I think Tan has done really well here from a position that looked somewhat crammed to emerge even with the slightly better position. I agree with you. When you're black and those pawns, all of them, except for the pawn on f7, actually, they're all on dark squares. And it looks like white has solved, like Tan has solved all of her problems. So I'm curious to see how is Polina going to react here? Is she gonna dance around? That's what I was wondering. Those knights, where do they want to go to?
Maybe bishop, okay, knight d4. Okay, I was wondering maybe bishop d4. No, I think her move makes sense. Trying to go to f5 or c6, actually. Knight c6 is a bit of an annoying threat. This knight is on an outpost, and he's not like bad there, but the rook, she's able to play on the e file, right? So I don't think it's that painful for Tan. I suppose a move that we could see in these kinds of positions is like f3. Could be a slightly helpful pawn move to try to bring out the king. But for now, okay, why is this the evaluation bar climbing? Maybe just bishop d4, or bishop d4 is possible.
Bishop d4, and then if I go, let's say rook d6.
Yeah, I'm also thinking maybe just g3. I kind of like g3, like really restricting this knight. Let's see if I will guess that right, because I mean, this is an interesting move, because in endgames, Oh, look, Fiona, it's on the board.
There it is.
I love to guess those little pawn moves, right? Because the little improving moves are so nice. This in end games, you're often not able to do anything very direct, right? And so you have to improve your position incrementally. And that's why I was like, I didn't see anything direct. There are no checks, there's no attacks. So G3 just does a little bit to restrict the knight on G6. And okay, knight E5, very reasonable before white gets a chance to go like bishop D4. Now, if you trade, you're going to be in a pin. You don't have discoveries on that rook. You kind of have to trade. I mean, right? Because a knight of 3 is just a threat. You don't have like really no choice.
Yeah, and I wonder what Tan is thinking about.
Unless she's thinking about bishop C5, rook C5, knight E5, which actually is interesting because Fiona, she might go for this, this, and this because she has a threat, and her knight is actually getting to like a really good square, and it's going to be way better than black's knight. I think that's what she should go for. I think like positionally, and she does. Yeah, she does go for this move, which is not like meant, she's using tactics in service of strategy here, choosing to give up the bishop in order to get that C4 square for the knight.
Yeah, and I mean, Tan has been so alert to all these little possibilities. Like she's been both tactically and positionally alert. And
really? Like that. Oh, interesting. I mean,
that's
why
a surprise.
Did she decide? Yeah, why did she decide she doesn't like that? There must be some points. I mean, I guess she's trying to go like rook E5, but still, I am a little surprised by that move. Honestly, yeah, I am surprised that we did not see knight C4. I mean, I just thought that was very. Oh, there was a tactic, Fiona. Oops.
Oh my goodness.
So there was a reason. I mean, positionally, the knight is great.
Why is it still fine for white? Why
did you can probably, why is it still fine for white? Good question. Takes. Is
there rook A1?
Oh, is there? You know what? I might have rook A1. Yeah, maybe rook A1.
Actually, or maybe even rook A1 immediately.
Yeah, although you're probably going to play like king F6 here.
Yeah, but if I go rook A1 immediately,
right here. Wow, you're attacking. Yeah, that's a cleaner. That's way cleaner. And then rook A5. That's a cool move. Yeah, but I mean, this is why I should not put the knight there.
Go, yeah.
Yeah, you see, yeah, she does see her tactics are good, right? Because of course she thought about this move, right? But she saw why it was only. Why I wasn't giving her an advantage, so she goes for this. Whoa, really? Like rook C6? Letting the rook into E5? Why would you do that? Because I mean, rook A's like, oh, okay, that's your idea. I mean, the A pawn is going to be so strong. Aren't I just going to take and then play like rook C5 and, or even like.
Can I not just also take on B4? Like take on A5 and take.
You have rook B2, but I still think white's better.
Yeah.
I mean, well, what else can white do here? Is there any point?
Well, she has taken on A5 and Polina has taken on C2, so we'll find out. Rook C5, yeah, called it again.
Yeah, rook C5, and now the question is. Rook
also
C3.
Very slowly, by the way, we'll have to keep an eye on the clock. Both players now getting very low, 30 seconds for Polina.
Yeah, this is a possible line, Fiona. Yeah. And the hilarious thing is that this knight is actually kind of holding C1 pretty well, while this pawn is looking really dangerous. So let's see where they are. Rook C5, there was, oh, she's still thinking. Yeah, Polina.
10 seconds for Polina. This is going to be really, I mean, she held the last one, but this one is going to be another
white's
challenging
gonna take. It's exactly going to be this line. And she's recognized that, the A pawn is strong, and then she's going to start bringing her king after A6, knight B5, king F1.
And it feels like that white should be winning.
Should be, yeah, because, we know that knights are just terrible matched up against side pawns. But, okay, it's like, I still feel like anything can happen, but Shuvalova has little time. That's actually a big problem.
Yeah, and it's not so easy. How do you bring the white king closer? Can I go knight B4? But then there's knight D4.
You'll probably try something like that. Yeah, knight B4. I mean, because it's just very reasonable try. It doesn't even matter if it's the best. It's just like what you do. And on king b6, king c5, knight a2, king b6. Yeah, that's how Shuvalova equalizes. She wins the a6 pawn.
Very
And
impressive once again.
yeah, she saves herself with very little time. Unless white can still pull off something in this king and pawn endgame, which I don't think is going to be very easy.
Yeah, I mean, the only try is to run to the king side pawns, but it feels like black is going to be very fast capturing that b pawn and running the c pawn. But I'm curious.
I mean, there's still some
Okay,
work to
but
be done.
yeah,
I mean, this doesn't look like such an obvious draw, but I guess she's holding. Pretty good stuff by Polina here.
I have to say, very, very impressed with Polina's technique and defense in this game.
Yeah, I mean, there's no way Tan can put her into zugzwang. And the problem is when white finally plays b6, I mean, her king is like not going to get.
But she played with under a second there. That was the only.
I was trying to like
the only scary part.
Trying to flag her. I got it. Yeah. Well, you know, now Tan doesn't have a whole lot of time either.
No.
And it's just a draw. Okay. Yeah.
Yeah. She's still trying.
Nicely played game. I mean, this was, I think, overall a high quality game. You know, Tan was better in the end, but it certainly wasn't that obvious in the such a short amount of time how to convert that end game.
And they shaved a lot of time off the tournament clock there as well. So as we go into what could be the last game, because only 9 minutes remain.
Yeah, no, this is good stuff. This is I think like you know, overall a good quality match for sure. So Shuvalova goes for the bishop's opening to avoid Tan's Petrov, but Tan seems to be, you know, of course, comfortable in this line as well. So she plays the c6 move quickly. This is the main approach. Knight f3, d5. Okay, knight c3 by Shuvalova. Okay, interesting. Will d5 be played? Kind of seems to be the main point of c6, right?
Yeah, and there she goes. White captures, and oh, I thought she was gonna drop the bishop back to b3, but no, bishop b5 check.
I wonder if knight c6 there is a bad move. Bishop d7 is super logical, and just now knight d7 even, and bishop d6, bishop b4. I suppose you can look at as well, but bishop d6 just looks more natural. And what I see, Fiona, is okay. It's not a bad move. I'm slightly surprised by it because it certainly wasn't forced. But yeah, what I'm seeing is that, of course, Tana is going to have another very easy game from the opening. And there's essentially kind of like a dead middle game here in the sense that once you're already in this position, right, there's very little that white can do to make things like very exciting.
Yeah, and I wonder, I mean, Polina won't have much time, but hopefully she has, you know, a few minutes, and I think she will use those to, you know, I think the best thing to do when you play this kind of match, if you want to take it very seriously, is to have a helper, whether that be your coach or someone who's looking at the match and who will be ready during the break with some ideas and suggestions, because I really feel that, yeah, she needs to change something about the way those openings have been going.
Yeah, absolutely. This would be a very good thing to have a helper around who can give her some advice, because the openings have been a big part of her struggles in this match, and Tan has just felt like it seems like she just gets the positions she wants, right? With every color.
And I think Polina has done well, because from the games that we've seen, in a way, I was just looking at the score there and I'm like, oh, I'm surprised it's only a 2-point lead, because it almost feels that Tan has been more dominant than that. But it tells you that, you know, Polina is a great player. She's a great fighter. So I think if she can get better positions out of the opening, she for sure can turn this match around.
Yep, I agree. I wonder when this move is going to happen. Is it going to happen, Fiona? Because that's sort of White's general idea, to like challenge that pawn. Is there something wrong with it? Is she just afraid of like pawn d3 or something?
Yeah, I was looking at that as well, but d3 doesn't look like.
Yeah, I don't think d3 it's that dangerous, right? Like you can go rook e3, you can go like e4 afterwards. So yeah, there we go. She has c3 on the board.
Yeah, c3. I don't think Tan will go d3. So what will she do?
What will she do? Well, right now, queen d6. No, queen d6 takes. Maybe queen d6, actually. Here's a line. Well, we have to get out of the pin, Fiona. So, and we also have to not hang this pawn. So she doesn't have like a ton of choices. That's why I'm thinking about this. And the idea here is that if you try this tactic on me, I take, and in the end, I have a fork. So I don't take your knight, obviously, because that's just a trade of knights. If I take your knight, you take my knight. But so she played something kind of similar. She played queen e7, getting off the file. CD, ED. Okay. So question is, well, can I take the pawn? Probably. Well, actually, maybe I can. I mean, why can't I, Fiona? Tell me.
So let's see, if you take knight e6.
But then I got my prepared answer.
I knew you had something in store for me.
Yeah, you know, I'm not saying this is not amazing for white, because black's rook is on the second and like actually does start winning back the pawn. So this is nothing special. Yeah, she's probably not going to go for knight d4. It looks kind of risky from a lot of different angles, so there's probably no need. What else can she go for? I mean, queen d4 is kind of interesting, Fiona, attacking the knight and pinning it.
Yeah, I like that idea. And then I would like to ideally maybe put a rook on the d file, or try and take that d pawn in another way.
Let's just take it.
Let's just, okay.
You know, let's not be decorous about it, Fiona.
Okay, but, can I be?
Shuvalova kind of goes for this move, a little imprecise there. I don't think she's gonna get that extra pawn that she wants. And I mean, there's probably a lot of moves here by black. Like, we looked at the most obvious. I mean, I suppose that this move is also like worth looking at. It's not like a crazy idea, I think, to try to take that pawn. You know, there's a lot of pressure against this knight. You know, you pin me, you know, I counter attack you. And wait. But if I
know you want to checkmate me, Irina.
Yeah. Oh, but if I take, you just take here. I'm sorry. Yeah, if your rook was first, your rook would go to e8, but it can't. Okay.
I saw that look in your eyes.
Yeah, Fiona. All right, so knight d4, Tan is thinking. I mean, what would I do in her place? I mean, I like knight e6.
I like knight e6. Just get that rook onto the second rank. I think you can. Yeah. Very unlikely that you're going to be worse there.
Because on rook c4, there's b5. So I think there's not a good deal of chance for white to really deviate from knight f5 here. So she is still thinking, Tan. Okay, she has a lot of time. I mean, she can definitely afford to think here.
And 2 minutes remain on the tournament clock for this 5+1 portion. So unless we see a very quick draw here, this is going to be the last 5+1 game. And I think Paulina will be happy to see the back of 5+1. I think she'll be the happier of the two players to move on to the faster time controls.
Yeah, well, because, you know, when you go fishing, Fiona, and you don't find any fish in a place, you got to change your location, right?
That's a perfect.
You know, I've never even fished, Fiona. I thought, like, this sounds logical.
No fish here, let me go and try another pond.
Yeah. So she actually goes for a move that we did not look at, but seems very reasonable, actually. How does white save this knight? I mean, I guess knight f3 is a move. Rook takes d2, knight takes e5.
And in a way that's similar.
Bad? Why is this bad? Why is this bad? Does the queen move somewhere and then there's like knight d3? Is there like queen h5? That would be crazy. Or something tricky like that, where like the queen stays under attack and then there's knight d3. But you have queen a5. I play b6, queen b5, a6. I don't really believe in that, but like now she has to
We'll
go queen
see,
a5.
because queen h5 is on the board.
Queen a5. The thing is, b6, queen b5, a6. I take on b6, and when you go knight d3, I go like rook d1, pin you. Your rook on d8 is hanging. So, I mean, it's interesting play by Tan, but I think she maybe, I don't know, she maybe missed.
I wonder what the move
a5
was instead of queen h5.
Yeah, I wonder, right? Well, I guess we're gonna have to stick with this because I know
yeah. Especially as the both times are ticking down and the clock is up. So official now, this is the last 5+1 game. After this, we'll take a short break and return with 3+1. But it's a big game because if Polina can win, she pulls it back within 1. If Tan wins, she takes a 3-point lead.
Yeah, and also on this move, they have rook here, right? That's the thing. So what happens here? She goes rook d1, rook fb8. How is white not losing an exchange? I think maybe white is losing an exchange, but white already has 2 pawns for it. That's why it's not such a tragedy. So, but it is really sharp. I mean, it's not like a pleasant feeling for white to give up the exchange because the knight is not so good in these open positions. Now this move happens instantly. And I don't know what should have happened, but looks like black is
better. If I was black, I would play h6 sooner rather than later. I can tell you that much.
There you go. She heard you, Fiona. And then I would play queen e2 sooner rather than later.
Tan offering a queen trade. Polina says, no, thank you.
Queen e8. All right. It's a little passive, but okay. She wants to go rook d8. Got it. By the way, she actually could have played rook d8. You know that?
Yeah.
You could have played rook d8 because I doubt that white like is doing that well if she sacks the queen for the 2 rooks. But okay. I think understandable. They're really low on time, so we can't, you know, ask that much of them.
I think this game, it might still be in the balance, but I think it will end decisively. I don't know in whose favor. I don't know who's gonna win.
Yeah, but definitely not white's, Fiona, because unfortunately in these open positions, I think the knight is just getting dominated by the rooks. Like you can't even, he doesn't have an outpost. That's the problem, right? No, okay,
I would love to try and get the knight to f5 again, play some knight h4, f5 eventually, but Tan is very persistent, trying to get those queens off. Polina persistently declining the queen trade as I think she should. And now can I not go? No, I can't.
Yeah, no, I agree that it's not really that clear at all. Queen d. Ooh, she's trying to stop e6.
I mean, knights are tricky pieces. E6 anyway.
Queen c7, but yeah, I don't think that sack was that good. I mean, Tan is so precise, but you know, Shuvalova is trying. I think it's like good practical stuff, like queen h6. I mean, oh wait, no, that's checkmate. Oh, black won. She just didn't have the time.
Oh my goodness.
And it says this was equal in the end. Hold on. Why? What is going on in this position, Fiona? Checkmate is threatened. How was white supposed to get out of this? I mean, I suppose she was just supposed to like move her rook. No, apparently not.
Can we?
Apparently not. And I don't even know why this is that losing. Okay, I think I do know. Kind of like rook here, king there, queen there. And the thing is, you can't block with your pawn to the checkmate. But I mean, you can run.
That's a crazy line.
I mean, g5, like, you know, g5, king h5, maybe, or do I just mate you with that? I think
I mean, white is just winning here. So
I think I just mate you. Like, that's right. Straight up, queen and knight checkmate.
Oh my goodness.
You know, yeah, like this is, for example, one of the ways I can mate with the queen and the knight.
Very cute.
So, okay, like, let me just try to understand why this move rook g4 is not good. Maybe rook d5. I mean, yeah, super fascinating position. Very unfortunate that the players just had no time to play it, and Polina lost on time. Tan takes a 6-3 lead.
Yeah, it's a big lead. We'll be back in just a few minutes with the 3+1 blitz portion, so don't go anywhere, and we'll see you very soon.
This is going to be a real-time breakdown of Danny Wrench's games all time on chess.com.
That's cool. Oh! In the last month, I am playing 83.12.
I'm less accurate than them in every stage.
Yeah.
Man, that stings a little
You
bit.
should
Okay.
do the more game review.
Okay. Yeah, thanks. Okay, so
Tuesday sucks. I gotta stop playing chess on Tuesday. Oh, it's because it's Title Tuesday.
Look how many blunders there were back in December 2020. And now December 2021, 1,600. Don't look at this number. Look at this number. Best.
Let's go to tactics. Mates. I'll probably need to work on these ones. Yep.
Every single rook fork that has presented itself to me, I have found. No one has a higher percentage of rook forks than I do. Yes, correct.
These are literally the knight forks that you missed.
I missed knight d6?
You saw it just now.
What the is wrong with me?
I could have done here and then taken this pawn, and I'm winning because my pawns get held together. That's probably the coolest part about this feature.
Like these positions against Hess? Rook there for rook e2! And he blunders mid one! Oh my goodness! I'm awful!
Watch your favorite NFL stars compete for their share of 100,000, well, 100K charity fund. Legendary wide receiver Larry Fitzgerald will be joined by some of the biggest names in the league. Catch Cleveland Browns receiver Amari Cooper, Dallas Cowboys linebacker Micah Parsons, top 5 draft pick Kayvon Thibodeau, and others. It all goes down on July 9th and 10th right here on chess.com. So that's tomorrow and the day after, coming up very soon now. We hope to see you for that. And Irina, those smarter chess stats for the moment are definitely not holding up.
Yeah, well, the problem is they can't hold up if they don't have the person's true chess strength reflected in those ratings, right? So whenever there's something slightly wrong, like, the bullet rating is completely mismatched, but even the blitz rating, right? Like, obviously Tan is not like 237 points worse than Shuvalova in any format of chess. It's just really hard for the smarter chess stats to get it right. But if it would have went by their actual over the board FIDE ratings, it probably would have gotten us a lot closer.
Yeah, I mean, in terms of classical FIDE ratings, Tan is actually the one that's slightly higher rated by, I think, 25 points. Of course, it was hard to know what to expect. We knew that Polina has a very high online rating. With Tan, I don't know. I wonder, could it be that she has a second account, that she has played some bullets somewhere? I'm curious to ask her after the match. But we're off in the 3+1, and Irina, we started once again with another Caro Can.
All right, so Polina, back to the Caro. Where were the changes in this game? So she went to bishop f5, knight f3, e6, bishop e2, knight e7, castles, knight d7, a4, knight g6, c3, f6, takes, queen takes. Okay, so she got this early f6 in. Nice plan. Maybe later on she will be able to play for e5. We will see. And definitely looks, oh, I think we need our, we need to get ourselves muted there, Vic. Yeah, and after bishop takes f3, I expect white to take with a knight.
Mm-hmm. Okay, so now Tan is thinking, goes for rook e1. Where's that black king gonna go? Is it just gonna castle kingside? Yeah, there was no other choice, of course, with the bishop on g5, stopping the queenside, blocking that queenside way. What do you make of this position? It's certainly a very fighting, very double-edged one.
Yeah, definitely big imbalance in the pawn structure. It means that it's always going to be interesting. I like black. I think Polina has made a good adjustment, and now she's going to play e5 because on g3 she can take the knight. So she has a very comfortable position in this game, and she is definitely the one, you know, who's going to be feeling like the moral victor of this opening. I mean, maybe the actual victor of the game as well, but certainly the moral victor of the opening.
That's the problem, right? I mean, even if you feel like the moral victor, but you actually lose the game, sadly, it's not gonna help much, especially as now, I mean, a 3-point lead, it's nothing that cannot be made up for, but she needs to start winning some games. What I like that she has done as well is she's been playing quite fast. She's up almost a minute on the clock. Do you think she has some winning chances here? For example,
I think so. I mean, but you know, queen and knight generally do quite okay against a queen and bishop. So I think, you know, what I like about Tan's play is she knows when to bail out, right? Because she's got a good understanding. She knows that, okay, this didn't work out for her. Time to like trade some pieces, give up the bishop, kind of like trade some things on the e-file. You see, she's not even trying to do anything, right? She's like, let's trade the rooks. Like, I know I'm worse, or I can be worse. So let's just get to some sort of safety. And I think that's very, very practical, very important for Tan to have that kind of mindset. And you see, woo, we just had like a tactic. Hey, that move, wow. Tan just missed a simple decoy tactic, winning a pawn. I mean, wow, it is surprising, isn't it? Like, that
I think it's just, yeah.
Wait. It's not quite over, because maybe she did it the right way, because here the knight was a bit trapped. I mean, actually this knight is like not coming out.
But wait, so she's done it now, because knight g5 is on the board, and actually that is the right way.
It is the right way, yeah, because I was thinking it's not as good because there's a check, but the truth is she just goes there, and then h7 is hanging and d5 is hanging. And yeah, I think she actually did a better version of it. It's like sometimes the threat is better than the check. Once in a while, it's like that. And that's amazing. I mean, it's just amazing that a couple of moves of just like trading down pieces, like even here, somehow she gets the better end of it, right? You just think like when she started trading on the e-file, could we have predicted this, Fiona? No way, right?
No, definitely not. I mean, it happened so fast somehow.
It's because of the c5 move, like it's a little bit weakening, and the knight came out, and then she just wasn't careful enough, and then she wasn't careful enough again about the g5 square. She clearly thought there was no danger, but there was, and she already won the game. Yeah, I guess her queen broke in on h7, and Tan takes another one. She's a good player.
4-point lead for Tan. And of course, she sticks with her super solid Petrov. Polina, she's back to the 4 knights. Let's see if she can get anything here this time.
c6, queen f3, and rook e8, or is it bishop d6 that Tan has been playing? So she goes bishop d6, and now rook e8, or h6, offering up for white to take their knight right away.
And those resulting positions usually, I think, have a reputation of being very drawish, where black with the bishop pair has plenty of compensation for the weakened pawn structure. But we'll see something similar, because after rook b4 hitting the bishop, Polina decides to go into this ending after all.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's not a great sign for her that she's back to something where she hasn't had any success. And overall, this is not really the area where you're going to outplay Tan. I mean, she's just, she's not going to lose a position with like this end game with the bishop pair, right? It's just not a lot to work with. And it's not like this is, I don't know, necessarily like I think Shuvalova's best area either, right? So I do think that this opening, doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, I don't think she will repeat this, because at this point, I mean, she also has to keep an eye on the tournament clock, and these are positions that are just very likely to be drawn, but Tan can play them for as long as she wants. And I think it would actually be, let's say there was a draw offer by Polina here, I think that Tan should start considering just playing and just, shaving those extra 2, 3, 4 minutes off.
Yeah, rook e2. I mean, I just just don't see what white is doing here, and not the kind of thing like maybe you can play like this if you're up 4 points in the match, but not when you're down 4 points.
Exactly. Yeah, and this is just, I mean, we can almost see the despair on Polina's face, because she knows she needs to start winning some games, especially with the white pieces where she really just hasn't gotten much so far. And now to know that you're going to be stuck playing this position maybe for the next 4, 5, 6 minutes is a depressing prospect.
No, bishops of opposite color are so fun, Fiona. Don't get negative.
I thought you're reversing roles on me.
I am for once.
So why Irina? Why should I not be?
No, I just wanted to say something different, Fiona. I mean, of course, I agree with you. That's exactly why I said that, because I was like, this is so boring. I could just make a joke,
Yeah. No, I know, and I mean for Polina, it's just not fun. I wonder if she offered a draw maybe, or if she's just. Because I also don't know if
she can play on, right? Like there's just not much going on. Yeah, she's going for this this plan.
Because one of the things, like, I wonder if Tan has given much thought to these, match strategies of like shaving time off the clock. Because I feel sometimes when I watch players in this format who are not used to playing this format very often, they are sometimes a little bit oblivious to the fact that they can use the clock to their advantage or disadvantage. So I'm curious if she gave that some thought, but maybe time will tell.
Yeah, what's interesting, Fiona? Let's talk about something interesting. When I was looking at the lineup of teams at the Olympiad, I was always quite curious. I was like, what is going to happen with the Chinese team? Because we know they are not traveling as much, but the Olympiad is obviously a really important team event. Will they really miss it? And then I couldn't find them on the lineup for either the open or the women's. And I haven't really heard much commentary on that in the chess world, even though I find it to be like very big news that China, the winner of the Open Olympiad, the Women's Olympiad, they're not playing. They're not going to be, they're always like the top teams. And yet there's like no statements at all about it, like why?
Yeah, I think it has been discussed a little bit on Twitter. I think there were already rumors for a few weeks, but Ding, I think, officially confirmed in Madrid during the candidates that they were not playing. I don't know if he actually gave a reason, but I guess it is down to their traveling restrictions. But for sure, I mean, it's going to be a very strange Olympiad with no Russian teams, no Chinese teams. And I think especially in the open section, if you look at the top seed teams there, I think it might just be the weakest Olympiad ever, actually. I mean, of course, you guys, the US, have a very dominating...
Yeah, except for the US, right?
But it's hard to see, you know, who could even put up a fight. Like all the other teams are so much lower in terms of, you know, at least average rating.
Yeah, King D6. Are they going to repeat moves with like Rook D3, King E7, or? Okay, I think she's not going to repeat moves on Rook D3. She's going to go King C7 because you might as well go to C7 and leave Rook E8 for the Rook. But I don't really see, you know, it's funny the computer is showing some advantage to white. That's a little hard to believe, but like, what's the point of this move again? You're trying to like use the 4th rank, huh?
Yeah.
Interesting.
Yeah, and could that H pawn ever, I mean, could this become a problem for black? Maybe this is not as deadly drawn as I thought it was.
Yeah. Oh, it's not deadly drawn, especially because of their time situation, because now it's going to get exciting. It doesn't really even matter the position on the board, but I think that this bishop on b6 will be giving black a lot of counterplay. So I would not worry about black's position at all here. And I think she can take on d1, play Rook e1 at this moment. I mean, she kind of wants to, put the king on e7, but she can't do it right now. So I'm saying maybe trade the rooks first. Bishop d1, then Rook e1. Okay, so she kind of calculated this. Okay, nice. King where? King's Rook e6, maybe? Rook e6. That's the idea, probably.
And then...
Oh, King
Rook...
c5.
Okay. And both players down under 10 seconds.
Yeah. That makes it super exciting. Like, white is better. Why? Who knows why? Bishop d5. Bishop d5. She blundered. Bishop d5.
And is Polina, she has to, she goes for it, and now suddenly
she's losing a bunch
is hanging, f7 is hanging.
She's losing a bunch of pawns, but she's losing a bunch of pawns. Definitely a big chance here for Polina. Let's go, Polina.
And she needs to grab this chance. I mean, this is really...
She needs this.
Absolutely crucial now that she wins this game.
Who is...
But the bar is just... I'm getting dizzy.
Definitely better for white, but I mean, white's up 2 pawns. That's clear. She has a great chance to win. Great chance. Rook e5. Yeah, try that. I agree. So tricky. She just blundered a pawn. Oh, okay.
But c6 is hanging as well.
Yeah, still
2 pawns up, but it's more difficult. Of course, it gets a bit more complicated when those pawns aren't connected.
Yeah. I mean, Polina needs to just win one of these games that are random time scrambles. It just needs that win so much.
Yeah.
Rook d3 was maybe interesting, but it might have been a draw. It's probably right.
And it's not so easy. I mean, how do you make progress here? Because Tan has established this blockade of the c pawn.
Yeah. I have no idea. I would really struggle here.
Yeah.
Ooh, okay. All right. I mean, is white winning? This is like a theoretical end game. Is white winning? I have no idea. I'm sure the players don't either, but obviously
she must be winning, surely.
A lot harder for white. Yeah. A lot harder for black to defend. Yeah. At this point, because now white just promotes the pawn, I guess. Yeah, now it's pretty.
And Polina, I think she's on her way. She's just bringing the king to d7, gonna push that c pawn, and that's it. So a much needed win, but kudos to her. I mean, very impressive. Impressive how she kept this game going and grabbed her chance, and she brings it back within 3 points. So now Tan with the white pieces. I get another Caro-Kann. Nobody is willing here to. Well, we had this one Ruy Lopez, but that was literally it.
Yep. So they're back at it. And this time Shuvalova plays a bit differently with this pawn to h5. Just like in the Sveshnikov defense, you cannot take it because the queen comes out and you get just mated on the h file. So I guess her pawn is going to h4. Yeah, she's basically trying to go pawn h4, provoke h3. It's interesting.
But maybe also this win, yeah, was what Polina needed. Let's see. I'm curious, can she string together a few wins? We see her slightly head bobbing. I don't know if she's singing but at least she seems in higher spirits than she was.
Yeah, no, I mean, that must have felt really
game.
good after such a drought, to finally get a win. Yeah, I mean, if it gets like that close, she can definitely pick up some points. But of course, it has to be like, so far it seems to be not so easy to get tan down to just those last seconds,
Yeah, for sure. And also here, I mean, okay, the pawn has made its way to h4, but Tan said you shall advance no further, goes h3. And it's not clear to me, how is Polina planning to continue here?
Yeah, white wants to go f4, f5, because right now there's no real blockade over f5. Polina needs to prepare for that, like right now. I wonder, is there the move bishop f8? I mean, it's not as stupid as it looks. And it's on the board, Fiona.
It's on the board. Wow.
It's always fun when you read the mind of the players. Prophylaxis, I love that part of chess. Thinking about how to stop the opponent's ideas. I find that, like, for me, that's just such a wonderful part of chess. And it's been like, I feel, because it's maybe one of the most useful things you take out of chess and apply to real life, Fiona. Such a skill to have, where you automatically think about the other side and what their actions and reactions are going to be. And I feel like chess teaches this to you at such a like deep fundamental level, because if you don't master it, you just get whacked in the head repeatedly.
Yeah, for sure. And I think what you're saying really resonates with me. I hope it resonates with people in the chat, especially about, really how it can be applied into real life, and how quickly you spotted bishop f8, because you had seen, f4, f5 is coming. How do I meet it? It's just a really good skill to have. Do you actually have any advice for our viewers, and maybe for myself, as to how you can train that skill of prophylaxis or foresight?
Well, yeah, I mean, first of all, there are books by Dvoretsky on this theme for like our more advanced viewers, right? He does have, that's always been a big theme in his books. And I think, he's been maybe like the foremost person who's brought that to like the chess education. He's been like writing books since the early 90s, right? So he's written on this theme. Like he even has a book called like Opponent's Resources, like, right? So that's definitely a whole book about that. At a more basic level, like if you're a total beginner, you might want to try, well, I say total beginner, like, how the pieces move and you're watching the stream, If you're at that level, let's say like 1,000 rating and below, you might want to try book 3 of Susan Polgar's a series, Learn Chess the Right Way, which is called like defensive play, basically, where you are always like making choices of how to stop the opponent's threats, and you have to like find the right one that doesn't blunder into something new. That's pretty good on a basic level. And I think, just paying attention to this theme, like overall, just like knowing how important it is in chess that you realize. By the way, let's get back to the game, because
speaking of prophylaxis, Polina didn't see a little tactic coming there once again, and that little tactic just led to her whole position collapsing. If we very quickly bring up the analysis board, we can go back to that moment when she lost the pawn on d5.
Oh, so she lost something very basic overload tactic on that e6 pawn. And this pawn just can't do everything. So, she lost a pawn. That was a little too basic, huh? Yeah. That was very unfortunate. And then, of course, with an extra pawn to work with, it's not that hard for Tan to like start opening up the game and getting to Black's king, right? It's not the most difficult thing for her. That king stuck in the center, just rook e1 coming. That's so basic, yeah?
Yeah, so do we just go rook e1 here? Why is the bar? Was this check on g5 not the best, maybe?
Yeah, but I mean, I guess rook e1 and just threaten like knight e6, I think. You just got to get those pieces in, or maybe the other rook. I mean, sure, you can go with rook a. I mean, and just in case your rook ever is useful in f1, There's a small chance it would be, so I would probably go with rook A. What is she thinking about? She doesn't have any checks.
She also doesn't have much time. 22 seconds for Tan Zhongyi, who's
Mm.
looking a little bit stressed right now, actually.
Yeah, she kind of like, she should have moved her queen back there immediately. Now black is going rook G8. I don't really see why Tan. Oh, maybe Tan was afraid of this bishop E7 move.
You know, it's not impossible that Polina wins this game. Like,
it's
she's
not.
suddenly getting some very serious counterplay here.
Yeah, unfortunately, white does still have a very nice like set of pieces in the center that doesn't really let black freely maneuver their rooks. But I agree with you, Fiona. I like this move. She's trying to get her rook to G6.
Yeah.
Good stuff by Shuvalova. Beautiful. She got her way towards that pawn with that exchange. Very good plan. And she might just take that game where she was completely losing. Wow, that would be amazing.
That would be incredible. And that's really, I think, the kind of game that you need. I mean, we saw her just win one, but this one can be such a morale booster when you know you were busted, to turn it around. And not only that, but she would take it to within 2 points. And suddenly I think we would have a match on our hands once again.
Yeah, it's over. Can she take? It's almost mate. Wait,
Almost over.
It's coming. It's mates.
Yeah.
Where's the checkmate after king here? Where is the checkmate? I don't know.
Maybe it just was.
Was there 92 at the end?
There was something, that's for sure.
Yeah. I mean, really nice comeback by Polina. I feel like this kind of compensates for her mouse slip with king d7 because it was such a similar game in both games, Fiona.
Mhm.
She had her king in the middle of the board where it was in bad shape, but in this game, she actually survived it. So that was pretty incredible. And I think Tan should be feeling like a little bit more careful seeing what just happened to her.
Yeah, for sure. I think that's 2 games in a row now for Polina. And well, once again, we have this same old 4 knights, the solid pawns for black on c6, d5. I mean, I'm very bad at telling positions apart. You know, I can't tell, have we seen this exact position before?
Yeah,
Like,
not
to me,
yet,
the
because I think
games
her
all
bishop
feel the
wasn't
same.
there, you know, but maybe now she just put it there, right? So
Yeah.
it's a little bit different than the last time we saw it, but it's like, it's nearly the same.
Okay, but it worked out. It worked out for Polina last time. So let's see, is Tan going to repeat h6? Is Polina once again going to want to go into such an endgame? I'm curious.
Yeah, but you know, winning 2 games in a row is a big boost in confidence. So I do think when you're within 2 points, you absolutely can take the match. We saw Humpy do it. She was behind by 3. And I feel like the kinds of games that Tan has lost, she lost like an equal ends game, and then she lost a completely winning position where her opponent blundered the most basic tactic. Now, it's not that just she lost. She's been losing in ways that I feel like should be kind of unsettling to her.
Yeah, for sure. And I'm curious to see, I think in general, the Chinese players as a whole, I think it's also part of their culture without, you know, wanting to be too stereotypical. But I think in general, they are very calm. They don't lose their cool so easily. But surely, I agree with you. It has to affect her at least a little bit.
Yeah, I remember, you know, ever since I was a little kid playing in World Youth Championships, Fiona, when I would have to play like the Chinese players, even then I knew that they were very calm and, you know, difficult to perturb, you know, so this idea has been around for a long time.
Yeah, for sure. And well, Irina, we are back in this kind of end game. What is your prediction for this time around? Will we have another, you know, opposite color bishop?
Yeah, I mean, like it just looks boring, and I don't know why. I mean, like I can't really criticize Polina because she's won the last 2 games, but obviously I'm not, you know, thrilled with this position for her. I mean, there's nothing going on at all. I mean, how she expects to keep beating Tan, or, you know, from this, I don't know, but it's not very realistic. And unless her plan is just to try to win with black, but I mean, you can't count on that forever either, right? So
yeah, but okay, I think in the bullet section, the colors become even less important. So maybe Paulina feels at this point, that a draw might not even be such a bad result here. I'm sure she considers herself a big favorite in the bullet.
You think so?
Surely
Yeah.
she must. She must, because I mean, 10.
She's read smarter chess stats, Fiona.
Exactly.
She's like, oh, Tan, she's only 1800 in bullet. I guess I'm gonna crush her there.
I know. Oh my goodness. So yeah, this time, well, only one rook remains and these opposite color bishops. This time it's hard to see how Paulina is going to make use of those weaknesses on the king's side. And I think if anything, I'd rather play black here, but it's just, I don't see how either side is planning to make.
Yeah, black has like a very nice active king, active rook. I mean, like the thing is like, white is not even close to making threats here. Everything is more passive. Like I truly can see white losing this, I can see absolutely like, well, I guess white wants to go and attack like this one pawn, but it's not a very important pawn. Black can definitely afford to give it away. Meanwhile, black's king is here. One day, black can absolutely, I mean, now she's dreaming of trading the rooks, right? Like that's her whole intention here.
Yeah, and c5. Is Paulina going to go rook d3?
Well, the problem is we're not going to trade, right? That's the issue. No one's going to be trading, or even rook. I mean, rook e1 is pop. Whoa, she traded, really? She's going c4, but I don't think she can win that. Yeah, I take. You take, and I stay on this diagonal, and I don't let you really. You're still kind of better, I suppose. You're like taking the pawn on a4, aren't you? But most likely we can hold.
Yeah, but then you will take f7 as well.
Yeah, this pawn is not so important. I mean, I think black needs to take, right? Like there's nothing else they can really do to try to win this. And now just king b4. Now, it's funny, the computer could say this is equal, but obviously white has to do the work, not black. I guess the issue is that this king gets here quickly enough for counterplay. That's what
I mean, and then suddenly you have to maybe be careful again as black, that those pawns don't start moving too fast.
Yeah, I agree with you. I agree. I mean, well, fortunately she has bishop e3, right? So she's not going to lose. Bishop f2 and then back to e3.
Yeah.
And it's a draw. I think.
But the time is moving so fast. We're down to we're almost at the halfway mark of our 3+1 portion. And so far, while Paulina has done, is this only game 3? Has Paulina won all the games in the 3+?
No, she lost the first one. I
think
she
lost the first one. No, you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely right. Yeah.
Yeah. Why isn't Irina in the championship? Asks Kermo. It's a good question. Well, the wild card, one of the wild cards this year went to my teammate on the Olympiad team, Carissa Yip, and she's slated to play Hao Yifan in the first round. I was really looking forward to that match. It's been postponed a couple of times already, and it's the final match that still needs to be played in the top 16. And I personally am really wondering when it's going to happen, Fiona, because like as far as I know, Carissa is supposed to be playing this US Junior Championship.
Yeah.
I'm not sure if she's going to be playing against Hao Yifan like after one of her rounds. That would put her to like a serious disadvantage. It would not be, a great thing at all to have to deal with that while you're playing like a serious tournament like the US Junior Championship. And I'm not talking about the US Junior Girls Championship. She's playing in the US Junior Championship, which these days is a tournament with 25 and 2600 rated GMs. So playing a match like this during the tournament would be so unfavorable that it's like,
I don't know if there are any rest days, because I don't think they can wait until after the match, because the final is scheduled for the 21st. So
yeah. We're supposed to get in like 4 matches in the like sort of the semis, and then 4 matches, and that's 8 player. No, that's not even the semis, it's the quarters. 8 players, then whittle down to 4, then to 2. We have a lot more matches to get in, and then this first match is kind of like tricky and we don't even know when it's going to be. I
Mm.
kind of wonder if they can start playing the other bracket though, Fiona, right? Because the
Yeah,
other
they
bracket
might.
will be
They
complete.
might do that. I agree. But yeah, we'll have to wait and see. Hopefully that match can take place soon.
Yeah.
Meanwhile, we're back in yet another.
You know, I can say, Fiona, like Kermo, I've thought about your idea as well. I was like, you know, maybe if they can get Carissa to play, like I can just replace her for this match. It would be fun for sure. Like, I do think I would really need some time to prepare, you know, for how you fawn. I think it could be kind of ugly if you just like say, okay, play tomorrow.
Yeah.
I mean, so that's the only concern, but obviously it would be an honor, you know, to play the number one rated woman in the world today. And, you know, it would be a great experience. So, you know, well, I hope the match.
Chess.com if you're listening.
Yeah. If you're looking for someone, here I am.
So what do we make of this Caro-Kann that we have in front of us?
All right, so we're back in a Caro, and seems like pretty stable. Oh, well, maybe not so stable. Yeah, that check is annoying. Oh
And
no,
that king always ends up in places it doesn't really want to be.
Yeah. I mean, king in the center, that's definitely not what she had planned. Like, what did she miss? How did this happen? Like, she probably should have played something like a6, but there were issues, right? Maybe with a5 or, okay, I mean, probably a6 would have been better. Yeah, I think she just simply missed the check. I mean, she just missed the check. What did she miss also here? Why didn't she go bishop there? There's still a check, but it doesn't feel as painful.
Yeah, if the king can go to f8 at least.
Yeah, that's a little surprising, actually. I am surprised that she just moved away and let this check happen, and then the king has to go into the center. That seems terrible.
Larissa is in the chat is saying that's actually a critical line to theory played by Svanna and Bluebaum occasionally. This even allowing bishop b5 and king d8.
Really? It's move 20 and they're still in theory? All right, I guess. Yeah, I don't know the Caro-Kann theory that deeply, really.
Yeah, that would be
but
surprising.
you know what also doesn't make sense? But if it's theory, look at their clock. It's obviously not theory that they know. I mean, like Tan has used up half her time and Shuvalova maybe not as much, but I mean, yeah, I mean, that's why there were really no clues as to this.
Not that, no, he's saying not that far in. So surely I think this bishop b5 check.
Yeah.
I think at that point, surely we had to be out.
Right, because this just seems quite weird.
Yeah.
Let's see. Ooh, something here. Something. What are the tactics, Fiona?
Oh, where are they?
Queen g5 is a kind of an annoying move. You don't have f6. Is it a5 and b4? Queen a5, b4. But then if I go b4, queen g5.
And if I go queen a7?
Yeah.
Queen c7?
What is the win? Well, I don't know why she's not giving that check. Maybe that was the check, but she's good positionally. I mean, after bishop takes, pawn takes, rook c5, like just establishing the rook on the outpost, she is positionally just kind of crushing here. So it's not a tactical win.
Yeah, and this is looking really good for Tan, who is looking to get back. Well, not back in the match because she still leads by 2 points, but looking to increase her lead. And once again, at that king, you know, if you imagine queens came off, maybe the king would like to castle sometimes, but not possible once again because the king has already been on a bit of a journey.
Yeah, I mean, so this king, and okay, what move can she actually do, right? Like she can't move her knight because she loses the pawn. She has really nowhere to go with the rook. It's really hard to make a move for black. Poor Polina. It's like such a dominating situation where white's like better on every part of the board. But the question is like, where does white break through? Maybe that's the more relevant question. How does white win this position?
So do we want to improve the knight or do we want to leave it there to tie down the black?
Look at that. Look at that sneaky retreat.
Oh, that's very sneaky.
That's what's up.
Okay,
All
but
right.
now
So
I
she's
take
giving up G7.
something.
She just kind of like, she's so desperate, she decides to like give away a couple of pawns just to get the knight here to close up the rook, which I think, you know, is fine in a desperate situation. I mean, it's not such a bad idea to close up this rook.
I guess we want to take G7. Yeah, she does. And
Queen
now
H7, now she's
Queen
stopping the knight
H7.
from moving, and she's just going to collect that pawn too.
Yeah,
it's tough.
20 seconds for Polina, a position that's lost. And I think Tan is going to get back her 3-point lead.
Yeah, it's just hard when you just don't even have a move to play, right? Not just like a bad or dubious move, like you just don't see what you can do. Like knight H4, right? So like, what was the point of rook G6 there? You know, there was no point, but you know, she just had to make a move.
Yeah.
H4, knight G5. That's the winning plan. H4.
Very nice. I mean, what a depressing position. I think H4 will be played, or what will Tan come up with? There she goes. Okay, Queen A4, looking for some final tricks, but there don't seem to be any.
Knight G5.
Knight
This
G5,
is, you know, this is not a perpetual check. So she can just go knight G5.
But she's taking her time. She still has 25 seconds. Polina down to 2 seconds. I think
she's gonna sack
G5,
on G5.
she
She's gonna sack on G5 here. Oh no, she doesn't. What? Really? Seriously?
Oh, that's just
what?
mate.
You have to take the knight. But okay.
Okay, so it's 8.5, 5.5 to Tan Zhongyi.
You know what the difference is, Fiona? That Tan wins games with the white pieces because she gets playable positions from the opening. But like a Shuvalova back in this stuff, I don't know. Where's the coach? You know, is this really the, like, how many times are we going to beat our head against the same wall?
Yeah, it's very, very surprising. I mean, almost shocking to me that she doesn't move away from this line here.
It's the Great Wall of China, Fiona. I walked a small part of it, you know, a long time ago.
No, I mean, she really, she won that one game in the end game, but I wouldn't say it was a fluke, but it came from a completely equal end game, and you cannot expect for this to keep happening.
That's a free pawn. That's just a free pawn. Great opening there.
Dear me.
I mean, can't she just take it? Like, she's probably thinking, like, what's the catch?
What's the catch?
Can't I just go Queen H5 and be all right? Or wait, maybe she thought there was Bishop F4, but then there's Queen C3, and then you win the queen. But on Bishop F4, I guess there's just Queen E7, calmly moving back.
I like Grandpa Simpson's comment in the chat. Just need to beat head against wall harder.
Oh yeah, harder.
But that's what she's trying. That's what she's trying to do. It looks like. But...
Well, that's what it looks like. And you see that Fiona, it gets worse and worse, right? Like when you don't make appropriate adjustments, you keep, you know, hitting your head. Eventually, you start hurting yourself, like you are in this game, right? She just like it didn't get better on her 10th time around. It got worse. Now she's down a pawn for, you know, who knows what reason.
Yeah, down a pawn for no reason, basically. And she's just gonna suffer. How will Tan continue? Can we at some point just go H5, H4, try and do something like that, or should we be a bit more sensible?
Yeah, I'm truly like amazed that she doesn't want to just go for any old line of the Petrov. Like, why she's not willing to enter it. I mean, I know she had a bad game against Han, but
by the way,
pick another one.
Just setting up here, tiny trick. If black takes the knight on C3, of course, Polina is intending to take on H7 with a discovery check and win the black queen. Hence why the knight couldn't be captured. And the queens are off, which must be good news for Tan, surely.
That's the other one I wanted to do. Yeah, you know, well, I guess it's an important lesson, right? That you just have to be flexible and you got to be able to make those necessary adjustments, you know, and I just don't feel like you can afford to play a whole match and like never get anything with the white pieces, like even just to play, right? Just play something. You have to be willing to make that change, you know?
Yeah, and I mean, after this game, I wonder if this was the final straw or if we'll see yet another one. But only 20 minutes remain of this 3+1, which could be as little as, could be as little as three games. So if Tan can win this one, there's already a chance that she cannot be caught, at least in this time control. And then we only have half an hour of 1+1 bullet. So yeah, Polina really needs to do something, and she needs to do something quick.
I don't know what Tan is thinking about. Just trade the rooks, go king e7, go king e6, king d5, h5, g5, create an outside pawn. I mean, it seems like, of course, we know knights are very bad dealing with pawns like that, and it's actually a really nice side pawn to have against a knight.
Yeah, and for Polina, this is the worst spot to find yourself in. You're fighting for your survival. It's going to take a while. I think she has to mix it up. What's the best defensive setup for white, would you say?
Best defensive setup for whites. Well, you can resign, start another game. I mean, I don't know. How do you defend against, I mean, g5 here, I guess. I can find a few attacking setups for black, Fiona. It's a lot harder for me to, come up with something for white. Ask me an easier question.
Yeah. I mean, okay, so the answer basically you're saying there is no decent try here.
Yeah.
There's no way even to get tricky. Can we hit the pawn on c5? Can we bring the knight like d3? King d3. Lost Irina for a second, but she's back.
I'm just I noticed there was some drilling outside, so I wanted to close the windows to make sure you guys wouldn't be disturbed by that. Always very annoying when people are drilling right outside your window as you're doing commentary.
For sure. And yeah, h5 is on the board.
Yeah.
I mean, maybe your advice is actually sound. Maybe Polina should resign and just get the next game going.
Right, because play as much as you can. I mean, look, of course, a lot of things can be savable, but I don't know. I do think this one is it's possible to resign in, but I guess, in blitz, until things get really bad or you lose a large amount of material, you tend to keep playing. So I understand her as well. It's always, you never underestimate how much is possible to mess up in blitz.
Yeah, I mean, especially since she turned around a few losing positions. Of course, it's
okay. Now it's going to end after knight c3. That's it. Game ending move, trading off the knights, and then you can't win the c3 pawn because of h4. So Tan is thinking, she's probably like amazed. Why is my opponent letting me do that? But she does go for it. So yeah, now you can safely resign.
Yeah.
Irina lives next to an oil well. Well, I would love to live next to an oil well if they would let me have the barrels. I think they're going for around 100.
Oh, what? Sorry, I was reading something in the chat. What were you saying?
Yeah, no, I'm saying Akiva said Irina lives next to an oil well. And I said I would love to live next to one if they would bring me the barrels.
For sure.
I hear it. So it's going to be very useful this winter.
Yeah. Okay, and Polina does resign there in the end, so it's now a 4-point lead, back to the 4-point lead. So all her good work undone after winning 2 in a row. She lost 2 in a row, and she goes away from her Caro Cannon. We get another Ruy Lopez.
Yeah, I mean, well, she had a pretty good position in the Ruy Lopez. Yeah. They had an interesting draw, I believe, in that game. So the Ruy Lopez did not work out badly for her. Tan is repeating the same line. It's interesting because Tan is really just sticking with what she's been doing. And that's because it's been going so well for her. Is this just a free pawn? She literally just gave away a pawn. And I think Polina is just a little bit on tilt, actually. Yeah. I mean, I'm going to see if there was an expression by her.
She did there was a little bit of, I would say, frustration maybe.
Yeah, because I mean that was just a free pawn.
Yeah, I mean, Polina, she really, I think what she needs to do is just try and stay solid in this 3+1, well, not stay solid, but try not to tilt, to see if she can somehow hold this game, and then just regroup before the bullet.
Yeah, no, I'm impressed by Tan's play. I'm impressed by her opening preparation. I mean, she obviously, you know, she knows her stuff. I don't know how much she prepared, especially for Polina. But she just feels like very comfortable in the opening. And, you know, it's like amazing when you don't have to make a single change in a match. Like everything is going so well, like you can just keep playing your lines.
I'm sorry. I think my package just arrived. I mean, I'll be back in
no problem.
1 minute.
All right, let me talk about the rook invasion on A7. Okay, maybe that wasn't such a devastating rook invasion. Is there just going to be a trade, or is there going to be queen A1? Is she going to try to get the queen here and then here? But then I think the queen gets kind of trapped by the rook on A6. So I actually think that this move is probably a somewhat of a blunder. So she shouldn't do that. She should just take on A8. And then how to win? Yeah, it's a question. I mean, you can always go there, but do you really want to take such a useless bishop on F8? How else can you go about winning, though? You see, what I'm showing you guys is if you go queen A1, oh yeah, well, it wasn't played, but the idea was if there was queen A1, rook takes, queen takes, I'm like, unexpectedly, or perhaps expectedly, your queen is in trouble. And this was a way that this queen could have gotten trapped, right? So of course, Tan, she does avoid that, and she goes for bishop A4, a way better move. And well, what's going to happen on like queen C7? Are we just going to take the bishop and take the rook, or are we just going to take the rook and let them take our rook? That doesn't make a lot of sense to me.
Yeah, things haven't improved here for Polina. While I left, and funnily enough, Maxim, you're absolutely right. I missed the delivery last week, and I got an email which I thought was a scam from FedEx, or how do you pronounce it? But then it had like my whole address and all my details, and it said that the sender was House of Staunton. And I thought, I haven't ordered anything from House of Staunton. What could this be? And I was just so dubious as to what was going on. And yesterday I saw some pictures of chess.com merch appearing, and then the penny dropped. So indeed,
okay.
I think this is my chess.com merch that just arrived.
Kind of interesting stuff by Tan, right? Like her rook's been sitting there hanging for a while. She hasn't moved it yet. She just keeps attacking that queen. And after knight takes, pawn takes, I guess if they take, you take, and if you take the rook hangs here in the end ultimately. Okay, so it does look like white's got everything under control, but like what can she really do other than take the knight? I don't even see the move. I mean, you can take the rook, but then I take your queen.
But Tan has been so good. I mean, there was maybe a couple of games, you know, that game where she was winning and she lost, but in general, she has barely blundered. She's kept her cool. Like I've been so impressed. And here, so what do we think? She's going to take?
Yeah, she's going to take on B7, because there's a really nice line for her after rook E1, queen E1, rook A4, and rook just B8 in the end, and just pinning the bishop. And I find that like,
maybe let's bring up the analysis board and just show it real quick.
Yeah. Oh, well, I think we're going to see it right now. She just went for it. It's going to happen. Rook B8 right here is the move I'm talking about. There we go. And that pin on the back rank is really nasty. I mean, how does she stop? Queen E8? I think that the answer is it's very difficult. I mean, now she's trying to go back with her queen to G7. Okay, I mean, it's passive. It sort of holds on for the moment. What can we do? We need to get this bishop involved. We need to get that bishop involved, right? It's such a priority. How are we going to do that, Fiona?
But can she trade queens or not?
Oh, no, you mean like queen where? Oh, queen E7. Queen E5, because then we would promote this pawn.
Yeah, no.
Huh. I really want to know. Yeah, I was going to say before, that was my idea for this bishop. Yeah, and I think that's she's gonna take, isn't she? Yeah, she's just gonna like promote this pawn, or no, she's gonna promote this pawn.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
Tan really not giving Polina any chances here. I think this game about to be over.
Cannot move the queen. That's the problem. You know, black literally playing without the queen. All right, I think, oh, nice. D7, yeah, just D7. Queen
D7, we have to make sure
F6.
there's no bishop D6.
Oh yeah, how about a check? Is there a point to giving a check? Actually, I think there is a great point. Yeah, now she either pushes them back into a pin or she trades the queens, takes the bishop and wins. Well, what can I say? I mean, just, you know what's very interesting, Fiona, I guess when you play a match against someone, you gotta, in order to win it, you need to find someone's weak spot, right?
Mhm.
I mean, it could be that players are very evenly matched, and I think in general, like these two
Yeah.
players are around 2,500 FIDE, right?
Mm.
So but the problem is I just don't see Tan's big weaknesses, right? Like even in the games that Polina has won, she kind of wins by like a tiny bit, right? Generally speaking. Overall, Tan is not really like a blunderer, right? She's made like a couple of very small blunders. Really interesting that Shuvalova does not go for the main line here with Queen F3, you know, getting this like slightly better end game. She goes for knight E2, not the main line at all, by the way. This is Queen F3.
I mean, who knows? Like
yeah.
maybe she's not that familiar with English. We have no idea if she plays E4 almost exclusively and she just knew she had to mix it up.
Yeah.
If she felt she had to mix it up, it could be that she's not so familiar.
Yeah. That makes a lot of sense, Fiona. Right. This is probably something like, right, she actually changed completely.
Yeah.
But she probably just doesn't know this that well. I mean, compared, yeah, right, of course, like she took on D5. I mean, Tan probably could have played like C6 and bishop F5 without knight F6. She actually went there. I would say that's like a small, you know, inaccuracy. It's not obviously a bad move, but she could have done a little better. And now Polina just doesn't know this line to know this kind of like slightly unusual, I would say, queen move, right? Because you are bringing out the queen instead of the knight there. But what happens is that when the bishop moves, then you capture that knight and you get into an endgame where black has those doubled pawns. Maybe though, Polina is like, you know what? I've had enough of those F pawns. I don't even want to see that anymore.
Yeah, but I think, okay, at the very least, it's good that she is mixing it up. She really at this point has no choice. I mean, she just has to win a game because it's now a 5-point deficit. But I don't know. I mean, to come back to what you're saying about, you know, the players are quite evenly matched on paper in terms at least of their classical FIDE ratings. But Polina, both in this match and in the match that I think we both saw against James Canty and that I am not a GM, I feel she didn't play at her level. Like, I think she is actually a better player than what she's shown. So I don't know if it's the pressure that gets to her, if it's the fact, you know, being on camera, like I've played matches online, it's not the same in a way when you know there's so many people watching. She is quite young still, so I don't know if it's just that sort of lack of experience or nerves or what it could be.
Yeah, you know, it's funny. Well, I know kind of the result of her game with James, and I saw a couple of the games. I didn't see the whole match to really have an opinion of what went wrong there. First of all, I want to say in this position, I mean, this is the best position she's had with white in like forever. So, I mean, the fact that she's made this change so late in the match is, you know, probably such a big mistake, right? Because this is the kind of position she should have been having like all along, right? Like, and she didn't even like really know the opening. She just kind of just played something, and nonetheless has a nice attacking position, like beautiful knight, like clear plan of attack. I mean, nothing to complain about, right? Just but you know, I think you got to make the judgment calls right? You know, this is the very end of the 3-minute portion. It's rather late to be making this change.
Yeah, and I think that's things that she will definitely learn with experience. I think having played in this format before is definitely a big edge, as here she's making more progress. And is she just gonna crush
I gotta say, I love this move, knight b7. Such an unusual move, by the way. Like, you rarely put a knight that deep into your opponent's territory when it's not an outpost. And the idea is like she's going after this queen, right? And it's just very cool, a very cool concept by Polina. All right, so I don't know why the pawn couldn't exactly be captured. I mean, other than the position is just terrible in general. But she decides to not capture it. And okay, ball is in white's court. What does white do? Does white just take on h6?
Taking on h6 looks very tempting, no?
It does, but there could have been g6 there. Maybe she didn't like.
Okay, knight d4. Where does the black queen go to? Nowhere. Knight c5. Okay, it's getting really tactical now.
Yeah, I guess you'll be trading and maybe moving the queen to c2. Or if you take on e6, they take on
Polina
d3.
really needs to watch her time, by the way. 20 seconds against a minute 20. This one could still turn around. She decides to maybe go this slightly safer route. And
Knight
I think
f2, knight f2, like what's going on? So many forks in this position, but I think she comes out ahead because her knight on c7 can be protected by the bishop, but black's knight on f2 won't be. Okay, so tan finally kind of goes astray, and white has an extra exchange with 20 seconds. It really should win this position. She's just taking on d5 and like,
yeah, just take everything.
Yeah, rook.
And I wonder, will tan? Yeah, I think she should play, even if there isn't much hope in the position. Although maybe it doesn't matter. I think there, no matter what, we will get one more game of 3+1, and that will be the last game in this 3+1.
Yeah, I think, I mean, there's no reason for tan to resign. She can or not, but I mean, it's still like in a playable range for a position where the opponent has less than 20 seconds. Like, sure, you should just play on. You never know what someone will do.
Can we bring the rook to the 7th? Yeah, that's what Polina goes for.
Yeah, king f8, and then just rook takes e7, or maybe she'll just like move up the king to a4 first, right? Yeah. So just take.
I guess she will
take, and maybe now there will be a resignation. Yeah, you see Polina switched things up, and it worked out just very well for her. So she just needed to do that earlier.
Yeah, and she will take it back to within 4 points. That pawn is just running with tan once again, I think, looking for the resignation button, found it.
She's like, I don't know where that button is because I've never had to press it.
I know. So now 2 minutes, under 2 minutes on the tournament clock. This will be the last game. And we're back in the Ruy Lopez. A huge, very important game, I think, because if Polina can win as black with 3 points, I think she can absolutely still make a comeback. If tan wins and it's back to 5, I think it's going to be really difficult.
Yeah, I agree. Wow, it's like 3 points versus 5 points. That's such a big difference, Fiona, that it's really critical for Polina. Like, I do think the match will be decided in this game, or at least whether or not Polina has a chance will be decided in this game.
Yeah, absolutely. So a huge game. What do you make of the outcome of the opening?
Yeah, it seems fine. Okay, you can take on c4 if you want. I suppose that's why the knight went there. Probably what I would do is take. It's a very solid move, then just go a5. I mean, not bad for black. Okay, it's not anything special, but I mean, I suppose you can do this as well. Bishop d5, there was c6. Tan f5. Oh, I don't like what tan has done, allowing black to have a majority on the king side with f5. I mean, c6 is a reasonable move. I don't know if it was really necessary. I really liked just pushing. I thought that's what is, that natural advantage of blacks in this
It
position.
also felt like that was more in Polina's style than going c6. So I'm also
I mean, she's
surprised.
still better. She's still going to go F5 and F4. And I mean, she opens up her bishop is beautiful. So it really wasn't a bad idea. I mean, yeah, right now, Polina is on the offensive for sure. And how does Tan neutralize this? I mean, she needs to get a knight to the outpost, but that is not so easy.
Yeah,
I
what
would say
even
it's
is the
not-
route? We have to go via E3, I guess.
Yeah,
Maybe
I think
knight
it's not
D2,
possible.
F1.
Yeah, the problem is this pawn is coming down,
Yeah,
so you're just
too
not going to
fast.
make it. Yeah. So even though that would be a great square, like the knight is not going to get here. Oh, we have some more moves. So queen C7, knight D2. Okay, that's fine. You're attacking the pawn. All right. So interesting. Yeah, okay. That's a different plan. She took the plan with this one and going for D5, which, you know, is still going to leave her with an advantage. So I understand it's kind of a different concept, but yes. All right, so black is still better. That is the evaluation. It looks like a Sicilian position gone very wrong for white, where they have given up the bishop pair to black and the center, Fiona.
Yeah, I mean, this is not a fun position. How can we create any counterplay as white here?
How do you create counterplay as white? Wait, why did she really just move her bishop back to G6 and F7? I guess she did. Trade, I suppose. Go rook D1. We know Tan likes to trade those rooks when she thinks things are getting bad. But it's still not easy to neutralize. Maybe queen D1, try to do something on the file. I mean, this bishop is so terrible. Like Polina's, you know, pawn chain is very effective against that bishop. I liked that idea.
Yeah, and I see in the chat, Fonda God is saying, I hope for a close match. Then you really have to hope that Polina can convert this, because right now the match has been anything but close. I mean, Tan has been so dominating. But 1+1 still remains to be played for half an hour. Tan, she has a chess.com bullet rating of 1800. We are fairly confident it isn't representative of her skills, but I mean, she could potentially be a huge underdog, but this very important game for Polina.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like Tan has improved her position somewhat. Like her queen looks good, although Shuvalova has this like tricky move bishop H7 coming up. But yeah, I mean, overall, I feel like control of the open file has gone to white, right? The queen in the center, like it just feels like she's losing some control, even though the computer is still liking black and probably, I would say, I don't know, there's maybe like bishop F8, just kind of defending things. And that's the idea, bishop F8 right here, yeah. And then you open up on the attack on this pawn. It looks like white is going to lose that pawn and still has no real attack against the black king.
Yeah, so great job by Polina. She's under a minute, but I think she's done great at keeping things under control. She will pick up the pawn. And hopefully for her and for the suspense of the match, she will be able to convert this.
Interesting move. I don't know why the computer hated it so much. It actually looks pretty interesting to me.
Yeah.
Probably queen E6 is why it hated it. Queen E6. I think black wouldn't mind getting the queens off the board. And she finds it.
Do we have to move the rook again? Can we go queen B7, but queen takes, and I have no threat really.
So she's still not like, well, the thing is the rook, when the rook moves away, then you're gonna like take the pawn. So we had hopes of going there and sacking on H6, but I think there's just not enough time for that.
Yeah, queen E6, an important little move found by Polina. And now we see also Tan's clock ticking down, but her position is just at this stage completely lost.
Well, that's great, isn't it? That's great for us. That means that match gets to that scenario we wanted within three points to keep it competitive. I mean, anything can still happen in these next 30 seconds, but right now it does look to be going Polina's way.
And apparently if Polina wins this game, the 3+1, yeah, we see there the scores The 3+1 section will be a draw if Polina can win. And the chat was pointing out those who predicted a draw in that segment, yeah, will be rolling in points indeed. But let's see first, can Polina keep it together and actually convert this here?
Right.
And we saw for a second the live odds, how Polina's odds have plummeted. Of course, Tan's odds have skyrocketed. Polina has picked up a pawn. She's about to pick up another.
Maybe queen c2. I think just do it.
Yeah.
Just do it. I think you can do it. I know there are some things to be afraid of there, but yeah. Take the pawn. Hope it works out. Yeah, I got to bring the queen back maybe for safety. Oops. Oh no. Oh no. I don't know what's going on anymore. That's not a good sign.
Yeah.
Oh, bishop e3. Okay. I mean, still under control by Polina, but like doesn't look very obvious to me. Okay, nice. Try to promote the pawn. Wait, what's that? That was a blunder by Tan. That
Yeah, I
pin
think she
wasn't
just
working.
hallucinated, and we
Yeah.
see the head to the forefront, to the forehead. As Polina takes it back to within 4, the odds are all over the place. Polina at least making a little comeback, but as you can see from the live odds, Tan now a big favorite to, although they're closing in again on each other. So Irina, we still have an interesting 1+1 bullet segment ahead of us. So we're going to be taking a very quick break, but don't go anywhere. I think a comeback is still on the cards. We'll see you guys for the bullet very soon.
found it. Queen G1,
Queen
knight
G1.
takes G2, and the king is wide open.
Here it goes. Rook. Can the rook follow the queen? Rook
Yes,
C1?
it can, but you get a draw at best.
But maybe the knight is just not that good of a
Queen D1.
Queen D1. Queen D1's an excellent. Okay, he's repeating.
Knight back to D5. Knight H4 though.
Oh,
Knight creates mate threats. Knight F6 check. Knight F6.
Oh, knight F6. He found it. Queen A7. Rook D8.
No way.
Oh my gosh! Out of absolutely nowhere.
Hey guys, we're back with the 2022 FIDE Women's Speed Chess Championship match between Polina Shuvalova and Tan Zhongyi. It's been a great match for Tan Zhongyi so far, but we believe that Polina is within striking distance in the bullet portion, don't we, Fiona?
Yeah, absolutely. And boy, has Tan, and she has proven those predictions wrong, but Polina's still in it. She's down 3 points, but we still have half an hour, 30 minutes of 1+1 bullet ahead of us. We see that, well, we're just waiting for the players to get ready here. What's your prediction, Irina? Will Tan be able to hold on to her lead?
Yeah, I have no idea what to really predict in bullet chess because it's so random.
Yeah.
I feel like, you know, Polina going into bullet is not bad for her because, you know, more chaos is generally fine for the person who's not doing as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
She's a pretty fast player, Polina. She can play by instinct. So I really don't know. I don't know how, you know, we have really no experience like seeing Tan play bullet. She's played well so far today. She is a pretty fast player. I think that she's not at a disadvantage. So I still expect her to win the match, but I do think that it's within striking distance. We see Polina going for this line again. She is steering away from E4 and going to D4 positions now.
Yeah, and good on her. I mean, it served her well last time around. And yeah, this really now a completely different beast. I'm very curious to see how this bullet pans out. So far, Tan, she's been playing fast. She certainly knows how to handle that mouse. She's even up time on the clock. And we got an interesting position where the H file has opened for Black. Is Black going to castle queenside now, or what's going on?
Yeah, I think there's a decent chance Black will castle queenside, although, yeah, she can castle either side of the board. Black definitely has no problems here. Tan's probably going to be feeling pretty comfortable. But, you know, it's, yeah, has more than a minute on the clock, so we can't say that she has any issues playing fast. And now I do feel like, okay, Polina's lack of experience in these positions is kind of showing, right? Like she has 2 pawns hanging. She's about to get B2 captured. Definitely on the defensive and on the clock as well. Like it's amazing.
I mean, look at Tan's clock. That's just insane.
It really is impressive, right? So the question is, can she take the pawn? Like, can she just go knight B2? No, she's like, let's keep it safe, protect B7, but that also gives white a chance to protect B2.
Yeah, and well, B2 cannot be captured any longer, but still white's position is difficult. But if you're Black, how do we improve from here?
Now, this is interesting. I was thinking B5, but now Queen C2, so she's not going to win the pawn. Yeah, and white kind of got rid of Black's nice queen, which I think is nice, and now B4, although it's actually B4 is still worse. Yeah, it's still easier to play as Black. Obviously you can't play B3 because of the fork, right? You don't want to blunder that. But I like what Polina is doing, right? Kind of inching her way with the knight from G3 to D3. Quite smart. Oops, she just blundered a fork. Knight D2, knight B3. And Tan just spots it instantly. Yeah, Tan.
She's so sharp.
Yeah.
She is really, really sharp. We didn't know what her bullet skills were going to be, but I mean, her tactics have been impressive. Her first game, I mean, the first game, as far as we can see, the clock handling has been impressive. So yeah, wow.
Yeah, she just needs to somehow open the position for the rooks now in order to win, right? Because that's the main challenge, really. She has a lot more time. It's an advantage for sure, to have 27 versus 8.
Mm-hmm.
But Polina is just trying to like sit on this position, not really change anything. And I think, okay, the trade, I actually would put the king on d6 if I were Tan. I like the king there. Then I'd play b6 and play for c5. And I think that's a good long-term plan. But okay, I mean, right now she's trying to do it, but now she can't get back to e6 so easily, right?
I mean, are we in time to somehow play? Well, now maybe we can just go back, right?
Yeah. All right. So I got kind of a different approach to this position. Maybe now she's thinking of it. Finally. King d6, b6. There you go. It's a good square.
King has made its way back.
b5 is good too.
Yeah.
Open the file, capture on a4, That's it. I think, oh, wow, she almost flagged. She made that move with 0.2 seconds, Shuvalova.
Yeah.
Now with 0.1. She will eventually flag. There's just no way you don't flag here.
That's what I was thinking as well. Even if she doesn't flag at the position, I mean, unless she can find a miracle fork somewhere, but she's doing a great job not flagging. She's now back to almost 4 seconds.
Yeah.
So Polina, she definitely has the speed, but she needs to, the speed is not enough because Tan is not slow enough that you can get away with.
Look at that. I mean, she just kind of sacked a pawn because she didn't see a way to win. Tan is basically down to the same amount of time as Shuvalova.
Yeah.
Like, I do think anything can happen here. I do think like White can save this. It's not the worst position White's had.
This reminds me a lot
move.
of that piece up endgame where they both sort of lost their nerve in the end.
Yeah, no, but here Tan has played really well. Like, she's been very smart. She has used some nice tricks here. And now f4 would maybe at some point f4 and king f3. Okay, she doesn't really need to do it. But she is way better here, I guess. Yeah.
And we just bring the king to f3.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Okay, now you're winning. Check.
By the way, king f3, not in that moment because that was actually mate. So I meant it's too late now, but when the check was given on e1, the king couldn't go to f3 because rook e3 would actually have been checkmate. But Tan gets there in the end. And once again, she has a 4-point lead with only just under 25 minutes remaining on the tournament clock. Did we actually see it? She played a Sicilian.
Yeah, this is my line. The classical 4 knights, bishop g5. Shuvalova goes for bishop d7. Okay. Interesting. Well, I mean, the openings are becoming more fun as we get deeper in the match. But, the thing is now where it's so random. It's not really going to be about the openings, right? I mean, so queen a5, right? So Shuvalova finally, why is she, wasn't she just giving away f6? She was, but okay. There was rook g8 and bishop g7. So now we're in the end game. What is she going to take with the rook? Okay. It's not such a bad end game for Black. Actually, these end games are known to be quite good for Black, these rouser end games.
Yeah, I mean, if the Sicilian is part of Polina's repertoire, I'm shocked that she hasn't whipped it out earlier.
Yeah, I know, right? I mean, like, this is a dream position for sure for Black. I would love to get something like this, and she's winning, winning a pawn. White has to figure out how to save that. Because now you just take on c3, you can take on f4, like a dominating kind of pawn. I mean, maybe there's some bishop h5, but
what's wrong with that move? Why is that so bad?
What? Oh, bishop f3 is interesting, by the way.
Oh, that must be it.
Bishop f3, but she didn't go for it. Okay. Is she going to be able to win? They got 35 seconds left. She's up a pawn. She's going to be blockading this one. I mean, she's definitely better. But, now she needs technique.
Yeah, so let's see that technique. There's always some work to be done. Opposite color bishops, of course.
Yeah, I mean, her king is going to be amazing, and White's bishop is actually pretty bad. Their rook is pretty passive, so I think there's good chances here for Shuvalova. Mm-hmm.
So bringing the king. Tan's position is just so passive. Unfortunately, she just has to sit and defend passively. I don't think she will try and maybe to run the king around, but it's hard to see.
But it's pretty tricky to win. I mean, I would say it's not like
Yeah.
Black's winning plan is not obvious to me, right? Because every time they try to push this pawn, they open up White's bishop and rook. So, and if you don't push those pawns, then where's your advantage, right? So I would say it's not so obvious to me what's going on here.
Yeah, and of course the problem as well for Polina is that this is a game, even in bullet, it shaves off a lot of time of the clock, and she needs that time. She still has so many. If she wants to make a comeback, she needs to keep some time on the clock, of course.
Yep.
And suddenly, I mean, is this even just not? What a mess! What an absolute mess.
Bishops of opposite color we're seeing again. I have no idea what's going on here. Wow, nice play by Tan. Like, I think it's nice. Do I have any idea? Yeah, I guess so. Just two passed pawns and her pawn.
I think Dania taught me this expression, the trousers, I think the Russians call it, when the two legs.
Oh, White won. Oh wow, even even won this end game. Oh,
she
crazy.
lost on time. Oh my goodness.
Crazy. I mean, Tan is just good like in all the parts of.
And that's a 5-point lead. I don't know if she'll be able to come back. I mean, that was a really sad loss for Polina.
That was because it was just a perfect opening for her.
Yeah. Okay, well, now she will just have to win 3-4 games in a row. It starts with this one. She is very close to being in a must-win situation here with White.
Yeah, they've had this position already. Oh no, we're back to this, Fiona. It's like, I don't want to see any more of this in this match.
I know. Yeah, I mean, this endgame.
Giving up the open file, like, you know, this is the problem. Why is she going back to this? Her other stuff was like more interesting. Just do something else, right? Like, don't give Tan this easy play.
Yeah, I'm shocked, but okay. I mean, it's also hard to say. Maybe Polina is just also a little bit in shock herself, you know, at how.
By that last game, yeah, that last game was a very unpleasant loss. Yeah.
I mean, in a way, you know, you could even imagine that sometimes you just kind of play e4 by hand. You just make the move, and before you realize what you've done, the move has already been played. And
wait. She just blundered knight c3. She just blundered a pawn, Tan.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. Let me see her expression when she did that.
Maybe Polina will be rewarded here.
Right, because she literally just didn't move her bishop away. She just totally forgot about it. She could easily have, easily could have like moved it away. Was there any expression? Nope. I'm looking. That was totally expressionless.
And now, do you want to go into the rook ending? Well, that's what Polina goes for. But also this one, like the previous one, I mean, you have that extra pawn, but it's not going to be an easy conversion.
That's right, because in the rook endgame, it's not so easy to use your extra pawns. I suppose you could take here, and then she will like start attacking with rook d4, right? Yeah.
We've only had one single draw in the match, right? That was very quick. I think that very quick draw.
We've had the night draw. No, we've had a couple.
Then we've had.
Yeah, we've had a few draws. Yeah, but
no, you're right.
A lot of decisive games for sure. And, you know, is White winning? Like, not really, although I'm surprised that Black didn't put the rook behind the pawn.
Yeah. She wants to get e5 at some point, I guess.
Whoa. She just let White go king h5. Is that a problem? Maybe it's not a problem. I don't know why the eval bar is saying this is like completely winning. Maybe because somewhere you will ultimately play king h5.
So do
you know what it is? Maybe somewhere you could put the pawn in a7 and then you go g4. And then, I mean, if they take, you get like this passed f pawn. I don't know. It's just an idea. Now, I don't know. G4 is like a crazy move. It could actually work.
Yeah,
G4
G4.
is
So
actually interesting. It's not like it lets black capture a lot of things, but then
Paulina, by the way, 5 seconds. She needs to not forget about her clock times. 2 seconds, 1 second. Oh my
whoa,
goodness.
she just blundered the pawn. Oh, terrible. Like, oh, well, maybe she didn't blunder it, but it was totally unnecessary to give it up.
Yeah, I mean,
Oh,
clearly this
wow.
was her plan, but I think she just couldn't find a way to
Yeah.
make progress.
Yeah.
And she's hoping that this might be winning, but at least according to this evil evaluation
now
bar,
everything is getting traded off.
oh my goodness.
Oh, man.
Yeah.
Wow.
And that could be the match right there, I think.
Yeah. Yeah, that is a big save for Tan, who just blundered a pawn for no reason and still saves the game. Well, you know, you need that too, right? You need those skills because you will blunder, like you're only human. So
I feel like back to the Caro-Kann again.
Yeah, I feel like overall Tan certainly doesn't blunder that much, right?
I agree. I mean, I've been hugely impressed with her, and she has it's not over yet, 16 minutes, but a 5-point lead. And I just haven't seen anything that makes me believe that Tan will suddenly collapse and lose 5 games. Like, she's just been playing too well. She's been too solid. And
yeah.
I think she will be the deserving winner of this match.
Yeah, you know, the players, of course, do get tired after hours of chess. It's like very intense, actually, to play a speed chess championship. I think that they all experience fatigue towards the end, and probably even much earlier than that.
Yeah, for sure. And for Tan, it must actually be pretty late in China, but we haven't seen that much fatigue from Paulina. You gotta feel sorry. I think she looks a little bit dejected.
Yeah, although she's like, aren't I doing well here? Like, is she up a pawn again? She is up a pawn again. Tan definitely hasn't played this perfectly, but all right, Tan got in F5, and you know, it's still looking good, although Paulina has a lot more time on the clock. Ooh, checkmate threat, knight F6, and checkmate on H7. Paulina better be careful. Her move.
That's such a puzzle rush. I feel like I've seen that position a million times.
Maybe she's got to just move it back, you know, move it back, because you can't go G6 because of knight F6.
Yeah.
Now, I mean, Tan's got a nice attacking position here. This bishop is just doing nothing. B5's not going to help her. How do you win? How do you win for whites? Like, what is the trick? Okay. Kind of logical, right? Just want to bring in the queen. Maybe.
Also, are we threatening to take on F7 or not?
Yeah, a little, kind of. You know, it's an idea. It's an idea. Bishop E7. She wants to take. Ooh.
Oh, wow.
Queen G6. Queen G6. Bishop G5. I mean, she's attacking. Bishop takes. No, I don't know. Bishop takes is Queen D4. Check. Oh, win the bishop with check. Oh man. Wait, is that even?
How do you win the bishop with
No,
check?
yeah, I was saying Queen H8 and Bishop G5 check, but then it's King D7. No, Tan picked the right order of moves, like very smart.
And to play all the sequence with 10 seconds on the clock. Now 5 seconds, both of them down to 5 seconds, but that black king surely.
Ooh, that was a blunder. Why? I don't know. I have no idea why. It looked kind of normal. Queen G8.
Can we go Bishop G5?
Queen G8 I would do. Oh, checkmate. No, not yet. It's not a checkmate. It's going to be a draw by perpetual, or I think she'll just do it because it's just.
Oh my goodness.
It's too much to take the rook, and she just doesn't need to, you know?
Yeah. And we see there once again the disappointment by Tan, but also the little smile on, because she's disappointed she didn't convert, but she also at the same time, I think, knows that the draw is taking her one step closer to being through.
Yeah, I want to see that smile. I see that a little bit later. Oh, she was a little disappointed. Yeah. Okay. Look, this is the most expressive I've seen her be in this match, Fiona. I mean, it is actually nice to get a little bit of emotion from her. But yeah, I mean, she can definitely afford to relax a little bit. Well, not too much. There's
Not
still
too much.
4 points, 4 points. I mean, if she loses all her games, she actually.
Oh, wait. It wasn't a draw. She
Wait,
lost
what?
on time.
She lost on time?
She lost. Oh my goodness, we didn't see it.
Really? Oh,
She
that's
actually
why.
lost.
Now they're
That's-
only 4 points and it used to be 5.
Yeah.
Oh man, that's why she was like that. Oh,
Oh,
okay.
that's crazy. Thank you, chat.
Yeah. I
Oh
can't
my
believe
goodness.
it. She was repeating moves and she just didn't get it in on time. Wow.
That's crazy. I mean, it's weird because I felt she had repeated a couple of times, so I didn't think that she should be so low on the clock. Commentator
What is
sleeping
going
well.
on here? Okay, so she actually found a pin to save her bishop. That's a cool tactic.
Mm-hmm.
And if if the bishop can't be captured, then she's just simply up. She's just simply up a pawn.
Yeah.
Tana's doing well again. Commentator sleeping. Well, I mean, how
it's
in the world
tough.
are we
It
supposed to
happened
catch
so
that?
fast, right?
As soon as the game ends, the next one begins, right?
Yeah.
So like that was not really us sleeping. That was just things going really fast.
I mean, if chat didn't see the results, would you guys? It goes so fast. But no, you guys were there to help us out, so thank you. And once again, we have this black pawn structure, but it's very different here.
Again, Tan, good position, more time. Is this rook trapped? Bishop f5. Goodbye, rook.
Oh
Game
my
over.
goodness.
Match over.
Yeah, this really is the final nail. Now we're back to 5 points with 10 minutes to go. Even if she won all her games, I don't think.
Yeah,
would be
well,
enough time.
it's 5 games. It is it's very difficult to do it, but but it's also not so easy to take 5 games off of Tan.
Yeah, that's true. So let's see. What was this? Another Caro-Kann, yeah? What did something catch your eye?
Yeah, Grandpa Simpson saying that they won't catch anything else today because I just chugged half a cup of coffee. So, I'm going to be more alert. Honestly, guys, it's pretty tough waking up at like 6 a.m. For me, I'm not really an early morning person, so that's just not a time I normally ever see. So yeah, it's like as the matches this week have gone on earlier, it's been harder. It went from 10:30 to 9:30 to 7 a.m.
Yeah, I don't know how you do it, but that's the dedication level, guys. So don't be too hard on Irina.
Yeah, I really enjoy this event, and I enjoy the Speed Chess Championship format in general. So it's a lot of fun to commentate on Blitz.
For sure. And well, this game looks fun actually. Finally, we don't have an end game like we've seen so many of.
So Tan, she's not doing so well. Are there tactics? Is there like a knight d4 tactic actually, Fiona? Was there something cool here? I think there was. I think I just maybe spotted a tactic. But anyway, it didn't happen. It's fine. It wasn't that obvious.
I mean, if you want to, we can bring up the analysis board. And
have a quick look. It's fine.
No?
I think I should stay away from analyzing bullet, or the chat is going to hate me.
But you're learning fast, Irina.
Yeah, right.
You're learning fast. So, okay, what's going on now? That knight on g5. When I'm black, I always feel uncomfortable when there is a knight on g5. Just feels like that's a bit too close for comfort.
Yeah, that queen is not great on a7.
That's true.
She's kind of lost her advantage a little bit, Tan, I would say. b5, I guess. b5, there's knight d4. So there's knight d4. She finally misses that tactic.
But will Polina see it?
Or knight e5. Which one is it? Yeah. It's probably knight d4. But in the end, that's the funny thing is this tactic might not work because after rook takes, there's rook c3. Wow. But now rook c3. She did it the wrong way, Tan.
Yeah.
She did it the wrong
And she blundered
way.
her. No, there was back rank mate.
Okay. Sometimes it's hard to even keep track of whose move it is. So like, okay, wait. That was a back ring checkmate. You couldn't take the pawn.
It's
Wow,
funny
like,
that a short while ago I was talking about feeling uncomfortable when there's a knight on g5, but I did not anticipate just how crucial that knight was going to be as Tan gets a second queen, and that is going to be that. She now takes a 6-point lead, and you've got to just feel for Polina, who just not been her day.
Yeah. Mybe says that he needs GM Irina's hair routine. Fiona, yeah, it's quite the hair routine. Going to sleep and waking up. Actually, guys, I got my hair cut a few days ago, and he did blow it out and kind of do the diffuser thing. Oh, that's the secret. He diffused it so it's even like more volumey than usual.
Oh wow!
Yeah, it's a little trick.
I like it.
Yeah, I liked it too. I was like, make sure you use that diffuser.
So yeah, if you want to have wild hair like Irina, I like it. I'm a big fan. She's your go-to person. Meanwhile, oh my goodness, I hadn't looked at the board for a minute. I mean, at this point, it doesn't really matter, but
yeah. Well, we're back in the Scotch 4 Knights end game. They've already had like a million that have looked like this. I don't really know why Polina insists on this. Like, you know, I just feel like it's almost like inappropriate, like in a bullet game where you can still technically win the match if you win 4 games. Be back again in this, like, doesn't she want to win, right? Like, at least
I think at this point with 6 minutes, like here, I think it's too late. But earlier, like, yeah, there were definitely moments where it was like, why do you do it to us? Why do you do it to yourself?
Yeah, I mean, just the fact that like we've seen so many of these positions in this match is insane, right? Because it's not like this is like a highly interesting end game, right? This is like bishops of opposite color, like white has nothing, and we've seen so many of them. It's very strange. Like I would try anything. I'd start the game with like, you know, G3, B3, knight of 3. Like if, I mean, even if you can only bring it within 1, like even if you're still gonna lose, like just do everything you can to try to win your last few games, you know?
Yeah, and I'm curious. I'm planning to ask Tan if she was surprised as well that Polina didn't mix it up more. But yeah, for now we're back in this end game. The rooks are coming off, and well, this should be a draw, but who knows at this point. Black has picked up a pawn, but it shouldn't matter too much.
Yeah, she just picked up a pawn. I mean, she has a lot more time. Maybe she'll get a back rank checkmate in this game. Like rook e3 is a threat. I mean, now she's on the offensive. She's going to go rook e3, pull the rook back to d1. And I mean, black is better. Okay. So she does it like that. I don't know about that. That's possible. Rook a4, bishop e6. I don't know what exactly Tan is doing here. She's stopping bishop e6 because there's rook e3. That's her trick. Whoa, Polina, oops, gives up the rook. Okay, well, I guess that's really gonna end the match. Yeah,
I mean, this is really when it rains, it pours.
Yeah, don't play this opening anymore, Polina, please. Like in the last game, just do something different.
Yeah, hopefully, I mean, she will only have one last white game. I suspect that this is very likely our second last game.
Yeah.
How long will the stream be? Asked Jinkola. So you can see on the top left corner of the board, there's a timer. It says 3.5 minutes right now. So when that timer is out, the game that's in progress will be finished, and then the match will be over. After that, we will have a winner's interview. So we'll be here for a little bit longer. But
yeah, actually, we're not, Fiona, because the winner is going to be Tan. And, you know, her English is not so good. Unfortunately, our Chinese is not that good. I can say ni hao, Tan, ni hao, and I can say wo se mei guo. I think that means I'm American. Because, you know, I used to go to China a lot, and I did try to like learn a little bit of Chinese.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the extent. I can say Xia, I think. Thank you.
What's that?
Thank you.
Oh, nice.
Thank you for the games. Yeah, thank you for this wonderful match. Is there a candidates for women? Yeah, actually, Santoshi, it was recently announced there's going to be some kind of new format with 2 groups and like short matches there. Kind of instead of a round robin like the guys have, the women will be playing matches against each other. So like a knockout format.
But they only, my feeling is they only did that so that the Russians wouldn't have to play the Ukrainians, right? Because I think it was supposed to be a round robin. And then it was postponed because it was supposed to take place around this time, I think a bit earlier even.
That makes sense. It makes sense in a way.
Because I think they're just not allowed right now. I heard some stories. I think the Ukrainian players are just not allowed to play against Russian players.
Wow.
So I think
that's crazy. I mean,
they did what they
too much interference into sports, I think, you know?
Yeah. I mean, okay,
you can't make sport as dirty as politics, you know? I gotta give you some of my opinions at the end, right?
No, I know it was self-inflicted. I should have just left it at 2 groups. But
but thank you, Fiona, for telling us all the details.
Let me give you all the information, but I don't want to hear anyone's opinion on it.
Right, exactly. I'll just nod my head and say, oh, okay.
But to get back to the question as to how much longer the stream will be, well, in that case, it won't be much longer.
Okay, I said I'm America, the country. Yeah, I represent America. That's right. Exactly, Jess. That's what I meant to say. But, you know, I can also say I'm American. How do you say that? Wosa Migwo Ren. Ren. I don't know if my pronunciation there is very good. Yeah, all right.
This could even be our last game. I thought that Polina would get the last one as white, but 30 seconds to go. But only Tan needs to be careful not to flag again for the last game. Not that it matters.
Yeah. So Tan, 1 second left. Whoa. Wait, she's losing too, by the way. How did she get to such a losing position?
She did lose on time, and with 10 seconds left on the tournament clock, that means we get one final game, and we are going to see what does Polina do. No, please, Polina.
Yeah.
They really want to. Polina really wants to.
She really wants to give us that end game again. No, she goes for this, which is another like weird choice, I would say. Why does she go for that? I don't know. It's not supposed to be a very good line.
Okay, at least we don't get the end game, which is one good thing. Careful that you, well, okay, she just gives up the bishop on c6. And this time we get, you know, bishops and a damaged pawn structure, but damaged pawn structure on the queen side instead. And Polina going all out here. I think she's planning to castle queen side surely and just.
We have, this is the last game of the match. So Polina cannot make up 6 points in this one game, but she can try to win this one just to get like that final win. It's been pretty dominating by Tan, and we can see that the smarter chess predictions have certainly not panned out for this match, right? They kind of underestimated how strong Tan really is. But, you know, I kind of knew. I kind of knew.
I think a lot of people underestimated Tan Bigfoot. No, but I think even in the chat, and I think one of the reasons is that Tan is not a player that's very well known. You know, she was a world champion 5 years ago. Even that's like, how many people even remember that? So I think because they feel Polina is younger and we've seen more of her, I feel that people just as a whole tend to just underestimate and not appreciate the real strength of players that they don't know so much of.
Exactly. I mean, Tan is not really necessarily as a household name. although she's been a really strong player for the Chinese team for a long time. I mean, she's become women's world champion. She played a match for the world championship against her compatriot Zhu Wenjun. She traditionally does quite well at the World Rapid and Blitz Championships. I mean, she's 31 years old. She has definitely been around for a while. She's 10 years older than Shuvalova. Shuvalova has definitely risen through the ranks very fast to become like Russia's strongest young player. I think she is kind of the strongest player of her generation to come out of Russia and join the Russian national team.
Yeah.
So maybe. I mean, Shuvalova a bit more well-known, played more on chess.com, but Tan has shown herself to be really good in all the time controls, and really we haven't seen so much of like, what is it in chess that she doesn't do well?
Yeah, for sure. And just everywhere PS in the chat is saying recency bias is definitely a thing. I didn't know that word, recency bias, but yeah, for sure. I think especially in chat, like I think in general, people just have short-term memory, and that's myself included. But as we get here to the final stage of that pawn ending, and unfortunately for Shuvalova, she is probably going to go out here on a final loss.
Yeah. No, Tan's experience, certainly showed in this match. Good opening preparation, good overall like chess skills, sharp in calculation, few blunders. The few games that she lost, she kind of like recovered. It was hard to see like where Shuvalova was going to beat her, even though Shuvalova is a good blitz player for sure. I could also feel like, against someone else, Shuvalova would have done better, but Tan was just impenetrable.
Yeah, for sure. And I mean, it's a big score for a player, who the smart chess predictions, which once again, let's remind everyone, I think they were skewed by her low bullet rating. From what we saw, she's definitely a bit stronger than 1800. So yeah, that match prediction of 9-20 did not come quite true. Also, her win probability worked out a lot higher. She actually Tan wins the match 17-10, which a 7-point difference. Yeah. That's quite
it's crazy that Smarter Chess predicted Shuvalova winning this match by 89%. And this is why you guys got to do your own thinking too sometimes, right? If we just believe that, we would be totally on the wrong track. 89% chance. Like what? They're like, they got the same, rating in classical chess,
And with that, Tan Zhongyi, you will see the updated bracket here on the screen. She advances to play Valentina Gunina in the quarterfinals, which I think that's going to be a very exciting matchup. What are your predictions for that one?
Oh, I am so excited about that. I mean, first of all, I got to say that all the players who advanced from the top 16 have shown themselves to be really strong. Like they advanced past strong players already. And this is really getting to, it's very hard to predict. I mean, Harika versus Vaishali. Harika is the more experienced player. Definitely more experienced. She won very convincingly against Quarry. But Vaishali beat Bibisara Asobayeva, the world's blitz champion. I can't say that match is a very clear cut to me. I mean, if I had to give an edge, probably to Harika, but not by a lot. Humpy versus Logno. I mean, look, Humpy's a strong player. Logno, I think, is a stronger blitz player. I would have to give the edge to Logno, but, Humpy might surprise us, right? I would not put that out of the question at all. Valentina versus Tan. Okay, this is the one that I think is the most fascinating. Valentina was dominant against Elizabeth Patz, and Tan Zhongyi was like pretty dominant against Polina Shuvalova. I think it's very close. I don't think that Valentina is going to be able to dominate Tan. And I really think this match is going to be a toss-up. I'm just going to be looking forward to watching it. And finally, I'm so sorry, Fiona.
No, don't worry.
Question mark. Well, the last one is we're waiting for Alexandra Kostenyuk's opponent between Hao Yifan and Carissa Yip. We haven't seen that match yet. I hope we get to see it soon. But between, like, let's say we imagine that Hao Yifan wins, right? I mean, Hao Yifan, Alexandra Kostenyuk. It is hard to really put anyone as a favorite over Hao Yifan. right? I mean, how can you put someone as a favorite over like someone who's rated 2670? But Alexandra Kosteniuk is a very good blitz player, so I think she will absolutely be competitive with her.
Well, I think I actually agreed with pretty much everything you said there. So I think we have some very exciting matchups coming up in the quarterfinals, some clashes of the generations as well. So it will be a good show. For now, we are going to call it a day. Irina, it was great fun calling this round of 16 with you. And yeah, thank you so much to all of you guys in the chat for watching. The Women's Speed Chess Championship will continue shortly. For all of you asking, is there already a date? No, there isn't a date yet for Hu Yifan against Carissa yet, but hopefully soon. And yeah, the Women's Speed Championship will continue, I believe, next week. So stay tuned. Thank you so much for watching. Have a good one, and we'll see you very soon.